Hump Day Wednesday. I'm Josh Hennig. He is Ryan Rothstein, hanging out with you as YouTube decides not to cooperate at the beginning of the show, but that's okay. We're still here live on the Sports National 97.3 ESPN. It must be a hump day, Ryan, because literally in the middle of playing the song, the YouTube ad popped up.
Classic YouTube. Doesn't matter, though. We're not bleeping leaving. We're here, baby. The boss is away, so Ryan and Josh shall play. We got a lot to get into, my friend, including everyone's favorite player, Trey Turner. What?
And now he's everybody's favorite player.
Exactly.
Everybody was dumping on him most of the year, right?
Of course. Of course. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the standing ovation. My goodness. But hey, whatever caused this turnaround from Trey, T squared, let's go, baby.
I mean, maybe we just call it magic. I don't know.
You believe in magic. That's it, man.
That shows that we're up to right?
Yeah, that shows a lot about us. But hey, we're going to talk Phillies. We have a great guest lineup, right? And
Absolutely.
Listeners out there are going to be debating us, I'm sure, till we're blue in the face. So let's do it.
Yes, 609-403-0973. That is the text board. DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Mike Began from the Press of Atlantic City joins us in about 40 minutes. John McMullen from Birds 365 coming up at the top of the next hour. Per usual, football for Jeff Mosher on a Wednesday from Inside Birds Podcast. And Ryan, we're migrating some of the game night guests, as you know, into the sports fashion I like to do. Dave Weinberg will join us an hour earlier for a Weinberg Wednesday.
I see what you did.
At 5:25.
Yeah, you're just slowly infiltrating sports fashion. So, one day it's going to be Mike Gill hosting from 6 to 7, and he's just you're going to say, "Hey, look at me, I'm the captain now. I'm the captain now."
I was going to say Bird Live.
All right. Either way,
But you view it. I am the captain now.
Yeah, you got to.
You know who the captain is right now? It's Trey Turner, because this guy has gone from world's most hated guy to
Might be aggressive there, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, he was almost Ben Simmons level.
Whoa.
Like people were talking about him.
I don't know about that, but he was an anomaly, I would say, Josh, because this is a dude that allegedly was the best shortstop on the planet.
Right.
You're coming off a World Series loss, and you add Trey Turner. I mean, we thought you added him, but the dude couldn't hit the side of a barn for however many months to start the season, from April to the standing ovation 2 weeks ago.
Really quick, what was weird was I've talked with Mike Gill. That is, there was a time in April that he got scorching hot, but nobody knew it because in April, what are we talking about? Eagles draft,
right?
Sixers playoffs,
of course.
So Trey Turner was like back burner of back burners when he had his hottest 2 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was that when people started paying attention to the Phillies in May and June,
he was terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
now in the month of August, he's batting .300 for the month with 4 home runs, 14 RBI, and an on-base percentage of .341. It's like, well, this is what we paid for. We've got it for at least 20 games.
Listen, we ask, obviously, we touched a little bit on this yesterday, and we've touched on this at different points throughout the season, but can this be the new normal for Trey Turner? Because it used to be the normal for Trey Turner, as we're discussing, but do we feel like he's back? And if so, how does that change or solidify our opinion on the Philadelphia Phillies? I think that's the fair question to ask right now after last night's walk-off, baby.
How appropriate was it watching that game last night that Trey Turner even came up in that situation? Like, was there a part of you that was like, almost like, this is what we needed to see last night?
Yeah.
That's how it was for me. There was a part of me that was like, this is what we need.
Yes.
We need to see this guy in this situation.
100%, because what Gill and I talked about on Monday and what you and I talked about yesterday, but I remember after the series losing 2 of 3 to the lowly Washington Nationals, Monday we're saying, all right, we have a 2-game lead over the San Francisco Giants. We're welcoming into our house, our crib for a 3-game series. We can't drop another 2 or 3 or God forbid get swept. And not only do you take the first game in a big way, what did we talk about yesterday, Josh? A disappointing, performance after putting up 10 runs in game 1.
Right.
And they avoided that. And not only did they avoid that, they won in dramatic fashion, and they won in dramatic fashion behind the bat of no one other than Trey Turner. So, yeah, that's it. That's the biggest spot of the season, I would say, not just for Trey Turner, for this Phillies team. Is that fair?
Definitely for Trey. Maybe not for Trey Turner, like number 1 on the list, but maybe like top 3 for him. I think that Saturday game that he had the day after the standing ovation, where he just went nuts in that game.
Yeah.
I think that has to be like the moment of moments. But I think the walk-off is huge because, first of all, the walk-off is weird. I mean, the way it bounced around and ricocheted and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there was a little 93 Phillies. We got a little luck going on with the roll, the dice going on with that, walk-off win. But still, you got to argue that for Trey Turner, last night had to be just another, check mark in the I'm Trey Turner again conversation for him. I know for the fans, they might feel weirdly about it, but at the end of the day, I kind of don't care if the fans just like Trey Turner at this point. To me, I care about, is Trey Turner going to keep playing well from now through the postseason?
Yeah.
And so far through 20 games this month, it looks like the answer is yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree. And, you text us, let us know your thoughts on Trey Turner on the Phillies, 609-403-0973. I'm not diminishing Trey Turner here, but I will say this. I will continue to communicate my biggest X factor for this Phillies team to get back to the World Series. I almost don't even care about the bats, right? Like for me, it's the pitching. It's the pitching. Like, do I want Trey Turner to be Trey Turner and not an absolute joke? Yeah, of course I do, right? Of course that could make a difference. Of course we want everyone playing to their full potential, but this team cannot rely on what got them to the World Series last year. That's my main point. And I think everyone needs to start to wrap their heads around that not Trey Turner's irrelevant, but we need to focus in on and focus our concerns to the pitching mound.
And I think last night was a part of that conversation, was it not? Because we know that at least for the next couple of weeks, there's going to be no Ranger Suarez. So with no Ranger out there because he's on the injured list, how does this pitching staff proceed, shall I call it, from here? And I think, we got Lorenzen going this afternoon with the 4:05 first pitch. So that'll be interesting to see. But moving forward, a game like last night, how does that impact the team going forward? Because right now, if you go by the projected scheduled starters, with Ranger Suarez going on the IL, Ryan, you're going to go back to a 5-man rotation. If you go by what the projections are on all the MLB.com and ESPN.com and all those sites. So last night, what happens? We see that the Phillies went against a young pitcher making his debut. And on the flip side, Walker gave you 5 solid innings.
Yeah, that's almost as big of a takeaway. And it's pathetic to say what I'm about to say. Like
just say it.
5 innings is a good sign in today's Major League Baseball.
It is a little sad. Yeah.
Is it not sad? I mean, my goodness. These guys should be going 7, 8 innings, but whatever. That's a topic for later. But Walker, you say, okay, if we can get 5, 6 innings of 2-run ball from him in a big spot, you feel good about it because, like we talked about yesterday, this team's bullpen is head and shoulders better than it was last year.
100%. And you saw part of it last night with Alvarado looking like Alvarado again.
Yes, that's another huge sign. Excellent point by you. And that's last night, the pitching rotation from starter to Kimbrel that's the playoff. That's what a playoff game is going to look like for this team. right? You have Walker going 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, only 2 walks, 2 earned runs. You go to Sir Anthony Dominguez for an inning. You go to Jose Alvarado for an inning. You go to Soto for an inning. Craig Kimbrell for an inning. Right? That's why you brought Kimbrell in. That's why you brought Soto in. And you're relying on Dominguez and Alvarado once again to play a huge role for this Philadelphia Phillies team. So right now, I don't know how you can't feel anything but excited about this Phillies team.
And by the way, for those who don't know, so Lorenzo's going today for the series finale against the Giants. They have a day off on Thursday. So it's not a literal 5-man rotation right now. They're kind of using that off day, Ryan, as they kind of quote unquote keep it on the 6-man. But for the next upcoming series, it's Sanchez, Wheeler, Nola, and Walker's back on the mound next Monday.
Good.
So you are at least projected to stick with a 5-man rotation for the next 2 weeks while Ranger is out. And now we get an opportunity to be like, all right, well, Nola and Wheeler.
He's new. Nolar's a new guy. If you guys
I just
don't know.
amalgamated Nola and Zach Wheeler into one pitcher.
What a word. Yeah. What did you just say?
Nola.
Amalgamated? No, the word you used to describe your
an amalgamation.
Yeah, okay.
An amalgamation is when you combine two things together.
Yes. I mean, the context clues helped me out, but I'm an idiot overall. But yeah, man.
By the way, he's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig here on
the
Sports Bash. I use the weird words. Ryan is one who tells me that they're weird words here on 97.3 ESPN. We're filling in for Mike Gill on a hump day Wednesday after the Phillies got the second straight win against the Giants. Back to the Phillies. Nola and Wheeler, say it, alliterate there.
Yep, nailed it.
They both have complained about the 6-man rotation. Yeah. They don't like the extra day. It's like, well, guess what? You guys complained. Now you get the next 2 weeks with the 5-man rotation. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, listen, I'm all for their complaints. I've heard their complaints. We picked it out of the complaint box, and I agree with them. Right? Like, I don't think you need – sometimes Topper's strengths can be his weaknesses. And that's an interview cliche type of answer. You know, it's like, tell me your greatest strength and tell me your greatest weakness. It's like, oh, sometimes I try too hard and I care too much.
That's a Papa Roach song, by the way.
I tried so hard. Yeah.
That's Linkin Park.
Okay. Same thing.
No, Papa Roach is my weakness is I care too much.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you get what I'm saying, right? Like, I feel like Topper, he's like, all right, I got 6 guys that are all going, that are all capable. It's like, no, dude, this is why you're paid the big bucks. Make a damn decision. I understand what he's going for. Give him extra days rest. Try and figure out. No, you got to figure it out right there on the spot because these guys are creatures of habit.
Rob Thompson's in a weird position, though, because I have to think that some of the decisions he's making, I don't think this is like Joe Torre with the Yankees in the 90s, just like being autonomous at times. I think there's a part of this where Thompson, he looks at his pitching coach and says, well, what do you think about these pitchers? And he's got Dombrowski standing over his shoulder being like, I've been around baseball longer than some people have been alive. Let me tell you what I think, you know?
Right.
I mean, Dombrowski is the guy who's done about 200 interviews in the last 2 months, basically. So it's like, I have to wonder how much of what Thompson is doing, for example, with the pitching staff is just him and how much of his people around him giving him advice, him being like, that's an idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's why you have an entire staff. That's why you have those people in the support system around you. But there's also a reason why you're the manager. You have to figure out who's your guy, whether it's the 5th guy or whether it's your quote unquote ace, top of the rotation. So maybe we're getting those answers. Maybe we're starting to get those answers right now as we quickly approach the month of September.
Speaking of approaching the month of September, we'll get to your text in just a moment at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Ryan, as we get closer to the month of September, we are 2 weeks away from everybody saying this is a big third down, basically, around football, right?
Yeah.
And the good news is the Eagles are pretty healthy. The bad news is you're not going to see anybody tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, preseason is a joke. I mean, we're all
what's more of a joke is the game will not have Scott Graham and Ross Tucker on tomorrow night.
Okay. You're upset about that.
Well, I think it's ridiculous that the game's going to be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Well, I'll be completely transparent. I'm not rushing to the TV to watch that game either way.
Oh, you want to see more Tanner McKee in your life?
No. Tanner's just like a frat bro. Tanner. I mean, that's a frat bro name. Tanner's got the white sunglasses and the backwards hat.
The
Sort
white
of like,
sunglasses.
sort of like me, just a complete clown. No, I kid. I want football. I want real life football in our lives, and I know the Eagles do too. When you're getting in fights with the Colts in practice, you're ready to strap them up for real.
So you look at tomorrow night like, I just don't care.
No, why would I care?
Not even one bit.
I mean, what's the storyline going into the game tomorrow?
Well, the storyline going into the game is we have still some roster positions that need to be figured out by Tuesday.
Yes, but you know this. How much of that game is dependent upon performance in said game?
I think it has to be part of the equation.
Sure.
Because, for example, when you cut Greedy Williams over the weekend, which was the most ridiculous, I never heard of a Saturday morning news dump in my life, but the Eagles tried to pull it off this past weekend. When you cut Greedy Williams, you were clearly telling the other guys, Zach McPherson is done for the year. Torn Achilles, he's out.
Yeah.
We're cutting the only other veteran that we had on the field.
Right.
So what we're basically telling you guys is, Eli Ricks and Mario Goodridge and Mekhi Garner and Keely Ringo and Tristan McCollum, we're basically telling you guys, have at it. Go figure it out. And with Miles Jack retiring, this roster is really going to come down to a handful of players because Jack looked like he was not going to make the team. Let's be realistic. He didn't retire because he was so good. He retired because he realized that he lost his fastball and he wanted to leave before somebody told him he lost his fastball.
Yeah, which I respect.
So the team now is looking around like, well, there's only a handful of guys still competing for jobs, and some of those guys have to play tomorrow night.
Yeah, I just the storylines, they don't grab me. Listen, will I watch it? Sure. Am I going to be glued to it? No, I'm not going to be glued to it because the success of this team, we can talk about the defense, we can talk about the roster position battles all we want, and they are interesting, and we are curious to see who's going to start where, who's going to back up who in certain spots on the depth chart. I get it. I'm locked into all of it, but it's Jalen Hurts, right? Like, this team is going to go as Jalen Hurts goes. I mean, I watched a couple more episodes of Quarterbacks last night, Josh.
Nice.
I know we're going to get into TV shows later today.
Oh, yeah.
But I only watched a couple of episodes of that. I didn't watch every single episode, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. So I flipped a couple on, and it just brings me back to, if Jalen Hurts gets even better than he was last year, we can talk about the defense till we're blue in the face. It doesn't matter, right? Jalen Hurts can take this team back to the promised land. It's almost that simple, is it not?
I don't know if it's that simple, only because I think that the topic we talked about yesterday on the Sports Bash, you and I, Ryan, was that the Eagles were so fortunate to have no injuries last year.
Yeah.
That I think that as much as the quarterback is important, I think it's just as important is, does the 5 men in front of Jalen Hurts stay healthy for the entire season?
Yeah.
Because, if Lane Johnson misses a game or Dickerson misses 2 games, you'll be fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. But if something serious happens to Kelsey or something serious happens to any of those 5 guys up front,
yeah,
I think that is just as important as Jalen Hurts, because at the end of the day, you mentioned the quarterback show. Kirk Cousins through that whole show looks like he's on his deathbed sometimes.
Well, he was getting hit more than anybody ever.
But what I'm saying is that the Eagles have arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. I think most people would agree on that.
Absolutely.
So if you lose at least one guy on that chain, like if you lost a Kelsey or a Lane Johnson, I think that diminishes the Eagles' offense.
It doesn't make life easier. That's for damn sure. But Stoutland is the GOAT. We've seen injuries on the offensive line throughout the years, and Eric Stoutland is he's a genius. He's the Howie Roseman of offensive linemen. I mean, he figures out a way to plug and play these guys.
So you have full faith in whatever Stoutland says and does.
Yes, 100%. Of course, if Lane Johnson's out for 6 to 10 weeks, it's going to be a negative impact. If Jason Kelce misses significant time, it's going to be a significant impact. I get that, okay? That's sort of a Captain Obvious statement, but I don't equate it to being the same as the Eagles losing Jalen Hurts for 6 to 10 weeks. Now, if that happens, forget about it, okay? We can talk Sixers at that point because the season's over, right? But you bring up the quarterback show, and the Chiefs were struggling early last year. And what was the narrative? No Tyreek Hill. No Tyreek Hill. Mahomes not going to be the same. Chiefs offense not going to be the same. And Mahomes and that offense put in the work to become champions again, right? So if Jalen Hurts can put in the work and stay healthy, I think the sky's the limit for this team. And I almost feel silly saying that because I feel like it's relatively obvious and simple at times. Of course,
sometimes it is simple.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes we make things more complicated than it needs to be.
Right.
You know, how many times, I mean, and we've all done this, Ryan. You've done it. I've done it. Everyone listening on 97.3 ESPN has done this at some point. We're watching a game, any football game, and we say, how do they not see fill in the blank? You know, how do the coaches not see fill in the blank?
Yeah.
Why? Because they're overthinking it.
Yeah.
So sometimes simple is more. Sometimes it's less about having to.
Less is more.
You know, sometimes it's not about how exotic your blitz is. Sometimes it's just about are your guys
better
getting around blocks.
Right, exactly. That's what it is. Can you beat the guy across from you?
Yeah, I don't need my defensive coordinator to be a savant. I need my defensive coordinator to know who his players are.
100%. 100%. You need to know your players, and those players need to make plays. I mean, you know, that's why we get paid the big bucks here. I know we're saying simple things, but my confidence level with this team, you look at the roster, there's talent up and down it.
Yes.
All right. So we have questions surrounding the defense. Maybe and probably the defense takes a step back from last year. But if Jalen Hurts can take a step forward and become a better pocket passer and can see the field more and study more tape and get to know his guys even on a bigger and deeper level, then this team can return to the Super Bowl. Again, it's all about
here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Obviously, Ryan, we got some text to get to on the other side. 609-403-0973. I see Paul from Hobith. Also, Derek wants to go to war with me with the Diamondbacks. He's texting in. He's very upset about my comments with the Diamondbacks yesterday, and he's been texting yesterday and last night on the text board, and this morning, and this afternoon.
I mean, I appreciate it.
So I will acknowledge Derek on the other side. I think he's being a little too aggressive, though.
I mean, respectfully, who the heck cares about the Diamondbacks?
Well, he does.
I know he does.
He cares very much.
We'll get to it.
Don't forget, still to come, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City coming up in about less than 20 minutes. Now, John McMullen at the top of the next hour, talk Eagles as well. Jeff Mosher, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Bird podcast. And Dave Weinberg joins us for a Weinberg Wednesday at 5:25 today. All that and more still to come. Ryan Rothstein and me, Josh Hennig, hanging out with you, filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
A sports station that hits a home run every time.
Swing and a high fly ball. Left field. That one on its way, and that one is gone. Inside the left field foul pole. A no-doubter from Trey Turner.
It's 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's home for the best Phillies sports talk.
Better days. Healthier living. There are many reasons to start recovery. If you know someone who is suffering from addiction, we are always here to help. Make the call at 844-REACH-NJ.
Summer is coming to a close, but the savings are just heating up at Elite Acura. Shop and save with unbelievable offers on our extensive selection of your favorite new Acuras, like a new 2023 Acura TLX base. Lease for just $365 a month for 48 months. That's right, just $365 a month. Or a new 2023 Acura MDX super handling all-wheel drive. Lease for $599 a month for 36 months. Plus, purchase online and take delivery directly directly to your driveway with Acceleride, where your new Acura is just clicks away. And if you're looking to trade, Elite Acura has you covered. We'll pay nothing short of top dollar for your trade-in, and we buy all makes and models. Getting behind the wheel of your next Acura has never been easier. Save big on your new Acura TLX or MDX today during the Summer of Performance event. Visit Elite Acura on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, or shop our entire inventory online anytime at EliteAcura.com. Call 567-908-0528 for offer details.
Reggie was a nurse for 16 years.
I had become very burnt out. I wasn't making good money.
Then it happened.
There was an ad for My Computer Career, and it just spoke to me.
My Computer Career was the best decision he ever made.
I could study anywhere from my laptop, and I was working in the first couple of weeks of me being in class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
We are here with Dr. Scott Hernberg, Medical Director and founder of Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield, one of our 97.3 ESPN industry aces. Dr. Hernberg, tell us about Tomorrow's Wellness Center.
We offer the most advanced technology and evidence-based practices in a holistic and integrative manner to provide optimal health and wellness. We strive passionately to make folks look and feel their best.
You treat ED. How common is ED?
Erectile dysfunction is a very common disorder, particularly as men begin to age. Typically, about 40% of men experience some form of erectile dysfunction.
And what does Tomorrow's Wellness Center do for ED?
We use a protocol called the Gainswave therapy. What this therapy involves is low-intensity shock waves that are essentially sound waves. It's natural, essentially painless procedure used to improve the blood flow as well as to improve the sensitivity.
Dr. Scott Hernberg from Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield. You can find out more at tomorrowswellnesscenter.com.
Staples has big savings on everything for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on tech for the classroom or your business with up to $250 off select computers. And save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Plus, right now at Staples, you can save even more with $50 off your print order of $150 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Print offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Tech offer ends 9/16. In-store only. See associate for details.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. We're the health plan you know with a new name and look. If you're a member, nothing is changing. You have the same benefits and services and can continue to see the doctors you trust in our New Jersey network. And if you need health insurance, count on us for quality, affordable coverage. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. Call 1-888-453-2534, TTY 711, or visit fideliscarenj.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
That's right. Welcome back, Ryan Rothstein, Josh Hennig here hanging out with you. No, Mike Gill, no problem. At least that's what Josh and I are saying. Text board is lighting up. Let's go, people, on a hump day. 609-403-0973. Give us your thoughts on the Phils, the Fight-ins, and, of course, the Birds. We talked some Eagles in that opening segment there. And, Josh, I can be Captain Obvious at times, but sometimes I feel like that's the right approach. And this Eagles team is going to go as far as Jalen Hurts wants to take them. right? Like I'm excited for this Eagles team, and we forget about the other position battles that I'm not diminishing. Of course, they all matter. Almost every player in that final 53 in that locker room matters, but none more than Jalen Hurts, none more than your starting quarterback. And we saw Jalen Hurts take a massive leap last season, where we're asking the questions this time last year, can Jalen Hurts be a real starting quarterback in the National Football League to an MVP? Well, how much better can this kid get? And if he does get significantly better, Josh,
right?
Then we're cooking with some real gas here. Then we're talking about, hopefully a Kansas City Chiefs type of a run for the next 5 or 6 years. I don't know. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy because, number one, he was second in the MVP last year. So it's not like we're talking about a guy who is like Dak Prescott, who people still have a million questions about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The other side of it is it gets back to a conversation that you've probably heard me talk about before here on 97.3 ESPN, which is there's just different types of quarterbacks. If you really want to simplify it, there's the quarterbacks that win you games. There's the quarterbacks that don't lose you games.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the quarterback who's just shouldn't be starting in the NFL.
Right.
Right. And the interesting thing about Jalen Hurts is that he looks like he's entering that smaller group of
the elite of the elite.
I win you games.
Well, I think there's another tier. There is those 3 tiers that you mentioned, but I think there's a fourth one, which is not just I can win you games, I can win you championships.
To me, championships and winning games is kind of synonymous.
I don't know, man, because I look at Kirk Cousins and I think he's in the category of I can win you games, but I don't know if he can win you championships.
So you're saying like differentiate between regular season wins and playoff wins?
Sure. Like, Patrick Mahomes can win you championships. I think Joe Burrow, yet to be determined, but I think you can put him in the category, if not now, in the near future, of I can win you championships. Right? I think that category is only 2 to 4 people long, but I think that's a category that does differentiate from a really good quarterback that can win a boatload of games in the NFL.
Well, it's interesting because Cole from LBI chimes in on the text board at 609-403-0973. Says, I think Hurts is a good quarterback, but to think Hurts can carry the offense is stretching it a bit. Hurts had a perfect situation last year. 2 elite receivers, a top 5 tight end, the best offensive line, solid running backs. I think if there are any injuries to offense, Hurts will look more like 2021 Hurts. That's from Cole and LBI.
Man, I always appreciate Cole's in input and engagement. Cole from LBI, we appreciate you, but I disagree. I mean, why do you think that? Why do we take so much away from Jalen Hurts and his success last year? Why? Because he had a good team? It's idiotic. And I'm not about to compare Jalen Hurts to Michael Jordan, but just bear with me for a second. Michael Jordan had the greatest coach of all time, and he had some of the best rosters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
What are we saying? Yeah, if you take away Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan isn't going to look the same. Football, you need good players around you.
Everyone does.
Yeah, I mean, so what are we talking about? I think.
Well, I think it gets back to the idea that Hurts was not hyped up by the experts when he came out of college, right? There's always been this like, oh, he's not an elite thrower. He doesn't have elite arm talent. Maybe he's a 1-year wonder. Maybe he's a guy who had a good year. Like people look at Lamar Jackson, he won the MVP. But that was 5 years ago now?
Yeah.
So people wonder about Lamar Jackson. Was that just a flash in the pan, or can he be that guy?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Deshaun Watson yesterday.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson was considered potentially a top 5 quarterback in the league. Now, a couple of years later, it's like, is he the same guy anymore? So
right.
I think people look at other quarterbacks and say, well, what makes Jalen Hurts different, Ryan?
Mm-hmm. I get it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that need to see it again. Right. But I'm not going to be the guy that says, Jalen Hurts is more like the average quarterback that we saw for a couple games when he first got inserted as the starter than he is the league MVP that we saw for the majority of the season last year. Right. Like, let's not just strip away all of all of what makes Jalen Hurts special and what made that run last year special. Jalen Hurts was the reason that team got to the Super Bowl. It was because of Jalen Hurts. He made big-time plays with his arm and with his legs week in and week out. And Jalen Hurts has become a guy for me that if you give him the ball with 4 minutes left on the clock, 2 minutes left on the clock, a minute left on the clock, I feel like we can win this football game. And that's saying a whole heck of a lot.
We got somebody listening in Canada to us right now, Ryan.
Nice.
Kevin from Canada says, hey, Josh and Ryan, I'm excited to see Hassan Reddick feast on quarterbacks again this year. With any luck, Sweat will have more sacks and Carter will be a beast. By the way, I've seen trade rumors about Aaron Donald being traded. In your mind, what would he cost the Eagles to get? He would cost a ton.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so we think, but if anyone can swindle it, it's probably Howie, but I wouldn't bank on it.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't trade for Aaron Donald. I'll take
Why?
that position.
Why?
He's getting older.
So what?
I just drafted Jalen Carter.
For the right price, though, I would take him.
I think Carter is the price. You're not trading Aaron Donald without trading Jalen Carter, probably.
Well, I mean,
I think Jalen Carter has the potential to be Aaron Donald.
I don't disagree with that. So, and if that's the price, I'm telling you to kick rocks. But if it's a Howie Roseman swindle type of a deal where you're shaking your head and, patting your forehead down like, wait, what the heck just happened? Then I'm going to say, yeah, come on down to Philly, Aaron Donald.
I just don't know if the Rams will get swindled by that, considering they've already traded like half of their future for like winning one championship, basically.
Yeah, but if they're just looking for draft picks, who knows? But I don't see that being a realistic possibility.
But I like the rest of what he said about the fact that, you mentioned Jalen Hurts getting a year better. How about Hassan Reddick getting a year better? I mean, that guy just keeps ascending and ascending and ascending. I mean, we could, if Reddick and Sweat are the tandem moving forward, you could be talking about two guys who combine for like 25 to 30 sacks a year for the next 3 years.
Absolutely. I mean, can Reddick insert himself into the Nick Bosa conversations?
Maybe.
Right? I mean, what would it take from him this year for us to start to put his name in that top category? I think if he has a similar type of year as last year, then you have to start to, put some respect on his name.
By the way, yeah, here's a reasonable response to what we were talking about on the text board. Person didn't leave their name, but we'll call them Mr. 302 because they have a 302 area code.
All right.
The texter says, I like Jalen Hurts, but I'm skeptical because of Carson Wentz. So that's a little bit of like, hey, I've been seen a guy be good and then fall apart.
Well, this is a guy that's been hurt from past relationships.
Right. So, which, listen, that past relationships many times dictate who we become. Right?
Sure.
So that person says, hey, man, I saw Carson Wentz play at an MVP level. I saw him go to the playoffs with, basically Ryan and Josh catching receivers in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It was Deontay Burnett and Greg Ward.
Who?
All those guys in 2019. But the injuries, I think the difference is the injuries caught up to Wentz. It completely destroyed him. And I don't think Hurts has a delicate ego as Wentz does.
Bingo. That's it for me. For me, you can't look at one situation and say, well, there's going to be plenty more like it. No, that's an isolated incident that is specific to what happened there with that individual. You look at Carson Wentz, and this is the benefit of hindsight now, but he didn't have the makeup to be a starting quarterback really in the NFL, let alone here in the city of Philadelphia. He just didn't have it. You look at Jalen Hurts, he has it, man. We'll talk about intangibles. We bring up the I word to her blue in the face. Intangibles.
I love that I word.
Yeah, I banned it on previous shows in the past that I've hosted. I can't hear I word intangibles one more time. But Jalen Hurts has them, man. All right, so I'm gonna end that segment on the intangible rant, but keep the text messages coming. 609-403-0973. Ryan and Josh hanging with you here on a hump day, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash. We got you to 6 p.m. We're going to take a quick time out. Steven Ventnor, I see you. The rest of the texters, keep them coming. If you have questions, if you want to redirect the conversation, add to it, debate it, whatever's on your mind, you're the priority. As always, here on 97.3 ESPN, we have John McMullen at 3 p.m. But coming up next, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. We'll look back on Trey Turner's walk-off hit, baby, to already take the series win over the Giants. All that and more next.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Okay, class, our first lesson is math. 0 + 0 + 0 equals...
One heck of a great deal.
The math is simple at Matt Blatt Kia. Put 0 down, pay 0 interest, and make 0 payments for 90 days on every new Kia in stock. Or get up to $8,000 off MSRP on every 2023 EV6 GT in stock. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia can get you released so you can drive your new Matt Blatt Kia with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 90 days. And we finance your future, not your past. Even first-time buyers can drive with peace of mind with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credits, not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through Cap 1. Excludes EVs. 36 months at $27.77 per thousand. To Tier 1 customers. Expires 9/5/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Attention, your money is now controlled by the U.S. government.
Picture a world where your every purchase is monitored, tracked, and controlled by those in power to suppress the freedoms of those they see fit. Hi, my name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. And right now, I've become very focused on the impending rollout of the central bank digital currency. This is not a work of fiction. It's a terrifying reality looming on the horizon. But there is a bit of good news. I've partnered with Advantage Gold to offer you a solution. They are specialists in converting your traditional assets, like those inside an IRA or 401k, into tangible assets such as physical gold and silver. Don't allow your money to be controlled. Claim your free gold protection kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor.
Call 800-900-8000.
Flounder season is gearing up, and the one stop for everything you need is the bait and tackle shop at Utch's Marina in historic Cape May. Come to Utch's for a huge selection of spinning and conventional rods and combos for the boat or the surf, with top name brands available like Penn, Tsunami, Ocean Max, Shimano, and more. Utch's Marina, your home away from home at the foot of the bridge in Cape May. Stop by any day or visit CapeMayHarbor.com.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Labor Day deals are here. Yes! Right now at Bennett Chevrolet, we've got all our red-hot Labor Day deals going on now. These are special holiday sale offers you won't find anywhere else. No way, no how. While other dealers are still selling at or above MSRP, Bennett's selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. Forget about MSRP prices, because at Bennett, you'll get the same deal employees get. You'll save even more with available 1.9% financing. 1.9%. And right now, Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. Yep, you heard right. Bennett's giving a minimum $10,000 for any rusted out old rattle trap you can drive or even tow to Bennett Chevy. Imagine how much more you'll get for a good trade. And Bennett's famous non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so there's never any pressure. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV. respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Our locally owned and operated small businesses are the heartbeat of our community, and the 97.3 ESPN South Jersey Industry Aces stand out as leaders in their fields, like Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield. Men, let Tomorrow's Wellness Center help you rise to the occasion. Visit tomorrowswellnesscenter.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Along with Ryan Rothstein, I'm Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. And joining us right now on the Elite Acura Hotline, our first guest of the day is Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. Mike McGarry's segment is brought to you by Tomorrow's Wellness in Northfield, where their goal is to make you look and feel incredible. Visit them online at tomorrowswellness.com. Phillies have won 2 straight. And we'll get into it right now with Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City here on the Elite Acura Hotline on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, welcome back in. How's it going?
Hey, guys. How are you? Doing well here. Just at Citizens Bank Park, waiting for a 4:05 start here as the Phillies go for the sweep.
So speaking of Citizens Bank Park, last night we saw a big walk-off hit, but not just any walk-off hit, Mike. It was Trey Turner at bat. We've been having the conversation, how big was we know Trey Turner is hitting 300 for the month of August, right, Mike? But it was last night another checkbox in the Trey Turner is ascending category.
Yeah, it's a positive step, right? Every game that he plays well, every moment like that, he sort of puts behind his struggles of April, May, June, and July, right? And if he continues to hit like he has in August, if he hits like that in September, and hopefully for the Phillies' sake in October, nobody will care what he did in April, May, June, and July. I said all along that it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in baseball. I mean, he was just too good a player. He was healthy, and he was too good a player to be playing as poorly as he did the season's first 4 months. And now he's playing like Trey Turner, and it also looks like, the baseball gods are giving him a break, too, because last night, as I wrote about the pressofac.com, he catches that deflection off that line drive, off that ricochets off Taijuan Walker's forearm. Turner makes a diving catch at shortstop, and then he comes up to the ninth inning and he rips one up the middle. 3 months ago or in July, Doval, the Giants closer, would have caught that ball. It would have carried him right to second base. Instead, it glances off the pitcher's glove, goes past the diving second baseman into the outfield for the game-winning single.
Mike, when you think about the Phillies now, they've won 2 straight games against the Giants. Is this who the Phillies are? What we have seen the last 2 days, is this who the real Phillies are? Or do you think that this team still has some serious concerns moving forward?
Well, I think there are some concerns. I think who the Phillies are is that they're consistently inconsistent. I mean, they could come out today and score 0 runs and lose 4-0, right? And everybody would be ready to turn on them. What I think they are is what they are, what their record says they are. They are, the top wild card team. I think they're going to be the number 4 seed. They're going to host that wild card series, and then they're going to probably play the Atlanta Braves in a best-of-5 division series. Could they win that series? Absolutely. Will they be the underdogs in that series? Also, absolutely. But I think the Phillies are pretty much what we see right now. I mean, they have highs and lows. It's just the way, they have a lot of streaky hitters in that lineup, and there are some concerns. I mean, the bullpen is a little bit of a concern. The starting pitching is a concern. You have Ranger Suarez on the disabled list. Lorenzen starts today. Wasn't good his last outing after the no-hitter. He's thrown a career high in innings. What kind of toll is that taking on his arm? And Taijuan Walker comes back. Yeah, the velocity was up a little bit last night, but, you still got to be worried a little bit about, the tired arm that caused the drop in velocity in his last couple starts. So this is a team with question marks, but, outside of the Atlanta Braves, and I would even have some question marks with their pitching, is there a team in baseball that doesn't have question marks right now?
Yeah, Mike, it's good to talk to you again, my friend. But you mentioned Walker, and I really just want you to elaborate on the pitching that we saw yesterday in general, right? Because Walker gives us five solid innings as he gets back on the mound after 10, 11 days off, whatever it was. But then you saw Sir Anthony Dominguez, Jose Alvarado, Soto, and Kimbrel. And I said to Josh to start the show, that seems like, Walker aside, how he went to the bullpen and the guys that he went to in a big game you're trying to win against the Giants to keep your distance. It seems like those are the best guys that you want Topper going to in a big playoff spot.
Yeah, that's the blueprint, right? Dominguez, who pitched well and has been a little shaky since he came back from the injury. It was good to see Alvarado out there, struck out 2 in his return, maybe a little rusty, but he was impressive. And also Soto and Kimbrel, their workload has kind of evened out the past couple of days. I both think they had maybe 4, maybe 5 days off before they pitched last night. So their workload, they're managing that. And I think the bullpen could be a source of strength for this team once it gets into the postseason, because not only do you have those 4 guys, but then you have the option of putting Lorenzen back in the bullpen. And with Matt Strahm, you have that lefty-righty combination that can cover 3 or 4 middle innings in case one of the starters doesn't have it. So, again, you're exactly right there. Excellent performance by the bullpen last night. That's kind of how they draw it up. And if they can get 5, 6 innings from a starter, they could be in good shape. That's what makes them a tough team in the playoffs. Their starting pitching, the bullpen depth, and their ability to hit good pitching. I mean, they are one of the few teams in the National League that I think can hit with the Atlanta Braves and can hit with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's what makes them a threat when it comes to the postseason.
Mike McGarry joining us here on the Elite Acura hotline. Visit Elite Acura during the Summer Performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, online at eliteacura.com. Mike, to follow up what you said about the other teams, one of the conversations we've been having about is how the Phillies match up versus those other teams. You mentioned the Dodgers. You have the Braves out there. You have the Diamondbacks, and now you got the Giants in town right now. The Brewers are leading the Central. For you, how do the Phillies match up versus those other teams?
Well, I think the Phillies would be the favorite in the division series, or not the division series, the wild card series. But by no means is that series a given. There are some tough matchups in there. If the Cincinnati Reds were to walk in here with Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green, that's a tough pitching matchup. If the Arizona Diamondbacks would be coming in here with Zach Gallen, that's a tough pitching matchup. But I think the Phillies at home in that wild card series, this is a tough place to play. I think you saw that on Monday night here. You saw it last night in that ninth inning. I think the crowd noise got to Doval, the Giants closer, who's been one of the best in baseball so far this season. So I think the Phillies at home are a good bet in that wild card series. Once you get to the division series, it's the Atlanta Braves. Again, the Phillies, what I would characterize it as a puncher's chance. I mean, they can hit with the Atlanta Braves over a short series, and they can pitch with them over a short series too. So would they be favored in that series? No, but they showed last year. Can they go head to head with the Braves? Absolutely. So, and then the Dodgers, sort of same story. The Dodgers have a standout lineup. The Phillies can hit with the Dodgers and probably pitch with them too. So I think the Phillies have a shot once they get in. But it's almost like I wouldn't be surprised by anything, happens in the playoffs. I mean, if the Diamondbacks would have come in here and throw Gallen, is he capable of beating the Phillies in a game 1 of the wild card series? Absolutely. And then everybody be in panic city with the Phillies down 1-0, facing elimination going into game 2. So, the playoffs are unpredictable, and the Phillies are an unpredictable team. So you almost get, if it's a word, double the unpredictability when the Phillies are involved, basically.
Mike McGarry, I want your just assessment on Topper. What do you think of the job that Rob Thompson has done so far, up to this point in the season? I saw in an interview, he said, Schwarber's the leadoff for the foreseeable future. He's not messing with that, which I'm fine with, but I know plenty of fans will debate that and respectfully disagree with that amongst some other things. But give us your overall assessment on Rob Thompson.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job from this perspective, right? People can quibble with the sort of the X's and O's management, right? The where does this guy bat? Should this guy drop in the lineup? How far does this pitcher go? When are we bringing in this guy in the bullpen? As far as that stuff goes, he pretty much manages the way everybody else in baseball manages. But I think the big difference is just his calmness. I think he brings a sense of calmness to the scene, which when you have a team that is as up and down as much as the Philadelphia Phillies have been, it's easy to overreact, right? They have guys who go through big time droughts. They have guys who get hot. So it's easy to overreact, both good and bad. And I have a story up on our website right now about, Rob Thompson in the 2 years he worked with Gabe Kapler. And we asked Gabe Kapler about what was Rob Thompson's strength as Kapler's bench coach when Kapler was in Philadelphia. And Kapler just said that Topper was a calming presence. And I think that makes a big deal when you're playing 162 games. You don't get too high. You don't get too low. You don't panic. You don't make moves, good or bad, just based on what happened yesterday. And I think that's his biggest strength. And I think he's the perfect manager for a team that is, has so many guys that tend to blow hot and cold. And like I said, it would be easy to overreact, good and bad, to the Phillies each day. And he stays level-headed. And I think that is a huge plus for the Philadelphia Phillies.
He's Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Follow him on Twitter at AC Press McGarry. He'll be back on Friday's edition of the Sports Bash here on the Elite Acura Hotline. Mike, always appreciate you jumping on and joining the game today.
Okay, great, guys. Great talking to you. We'll see you down the road. Thanks.
And Mike McGarry's segment is brought to you by Tomorrow's Wellness in Northfield, where their goal is to make you look and feel incredible. Visit them online at tomorrowswellnesscenter.com. He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig. Coming up in the next hour, John McMullen, Jacob Media's Bird 365, Eagles Insider. Get the latest on the Eagles roster, plus more of your texts. As Ryan said, we have a ton of texts to get to in the next hour. Keep them coming, 609-403-0973. We didn't forget about Steven Ventnor, also Derek, the Diamondbacks fan. All you guys and more to get to still to come here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle. Plus, I gave Ryan a homework assignment last night. The top shows or movies you need to watch on streaming before the football season starts. All that still to come on the Sports Bash.
Hi, this is Billy Schwein from The Locker Room. Join me, former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Clemick, and Mike Carlin Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon as we broadcast live from the Ocean City High School football field for the Battle at the Beach High School Football Classic.
97.3 ESPN's live broadcast from Ocean City High School on Saturday is being brought to you by Shade Sunglasses of Ocean City, with 2 locations at 838 Boardwalk and 1124 Boardwalk. Rindazzo's Pizza, located at 34th Street and Asbury Avenue in Ocean City. All Campus Sports Headgear, located at 1028 Boardwalk in Ocean City. And by the top real estate agent in South Jersey, Mark Grimes, your agent at the beach, with offices in Ocean City. Don't miss the Locker Room with Billy Schwein's live broadcast from the Battle at the Beach Football Classic at Ocean City High School, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on 97.3 ESPN.
Any trade, any trade, any trade. Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man is in need of more trades. Used car values have been all over the map, but AJ has one mission: give you the best trade value and get you into a new Matt Blatt Nissan with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0% financing on every new Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, AJ the Trade Man wants your trade. Plus, with your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved with 0 down and 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock. For 36 months, all backed by Matt Blatt's 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through DMAC, negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag at $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 9/7/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Staples has big savings on everything for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on tech for the classroom or your business with up to $250 off select computers. And save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Plus, right now at Staples, you can save even more with $50 off your print order of $150 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Print offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Tech offer ends 9/16. In-store only. See associate for details.
Summertime, baseball and golf season are in full swing, plus so much more. BetParx is an official betting operator of the PGA Tour. Plus, the BetParx Casino and Sportsbook app follows you to the shore and the mountains. It's all right in the palm of your hand. Odds, bets, slots, and games. All new users bet $10 and get $125 in Sportsbook bonus if your first bet wins. BetParx.com has terms and conditions. New users and winning bets only. Sports bonus bet must be wagered once. See website for details. Must be 21 in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Parks Casino. This is how you win. The fun never stops at Parks Casino. Enjoy the best local bands and live entertainment at 360 inside Parks Casino. Friday, August 25th, get up and dance with Coast to Coast. Saturday, August 26th, Smooth Edge Band takes the stage. Plus, Joe Conklin's Comedy Night every other Thursday. Follow on social media or parkscasino.com for complete entertainment schedule, including national headliners coming to the Excite Center. Parks Casino. This is how you win. This is how you win. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle.
Sixers and Flyers.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia studio. Here's Mike Gill.
Let's go. It's 3 p.m., 1 hour down. We got 3 more to go. Who's counting? Welcome back to Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Ryan and Josh hanging with you on a Wednesday. No Mike Gill, no problem. Keep the text messages coming, 609-403-0973. We'll get to them in just a minute. And we may weave a few of these texts into our next conversation with our next guest. As always, he joins us each and every day at this time, 3 p.m. on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Johnny Mack, give him a follow at JF McMullen. Birds 365, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. We have one more game of watching paint dry, and then we have real life football. Is that a little bit too harsh, Johnny Mack? How you doing?
No, I don't think at all. I think paint drying might be preferable, to be honest.
I am, man, just elated to hear that from you.
It's tough.
Yeah, because this is just brutal.
It's tough watching preseason football, especially in Philadelphia. You know, there are certain teams, Kansas City being the most notable, Andy Reid being more old school, that will use more of a old school approach to the preseason. You see the starters at least a little bit, but here in Philadelphia, it's rough, man. Woof. I mean, Now, it might change. The Eagles had the joint practices this year, and they had them last year as well. So in theory, maybe down the road they can't work something out with the other teams and they don't have them, and maybe they're forced to play their starters a little bit in preseason. But as long as they have those joint practices, they're not. We didn't see one third-team rep against Indianapolis. So it was all, for instance, a lot of fans were hyped up about Tanner McKee, trying to battle that backup job away from Marcus Mariota. He didn't get one rep. Not one. It was all Hurts and Mariota, which tells you what they think of the joint practice sessions versus the actual games.
Yeah, no, I listen, absolutely. And you have been sharing that insight for a few years now, Lisa, when I speak with you, just how much importance and value they put towards the joint practices over the preseason, and, rightfully so. But before we get to some of the quote storylines and question marks and questions, I should say, we still have surrounding this team and roster battles, I want your thoughts on Jalen Hurts, because Josh and I were talking about this earlier. We were talking about it with plenty of listeners through the text board here at 97.3, and a few listeners were saying, I don't know if we can give Jalen Hurts that much credit last year. Look at the team he had around him. Because what I said is, listen, we can talk about the defense and the questions we have with a new leader going into this season. We can talk about new starters. We can talk about how good is the defense going to be. But for me, it's as simple as, if Jalen Hurts can take another step forward, we're going to be cooking with gas, right? Like this can be simplified to how much better can Jalen Hurts be, or can he even just remain at the level that we saw him last year, John?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, if last year's the ceiling, that's pretty good. I don't know. I mean, everything depends on definition. So I guess it depends on people's definitions. If they're expecting better stats, more wins, I think he could have a worse year statistically and become a better quarterback. The Eagles have a tougher schedule this year. In theory, there's going to be more close games or more games behind in the fourth quarter. So that might ramp up passing yards a little bit, because you would be passing more in that situation, but it'll probably amp up turnovers a little bit more because you're more apt to throw an interception here and there. So all of this depends on, how people want to frame this, and they frame it all kinds of ways, to the point, where people are trying to compare Justin Fields to Jalen Hurts. I'm like, what are we doing here? But if last year is the ceiling, that's fine. So I don't know if it's fair to say, all right, you can have that kind of year every year. Look at, no matter what quarterback you want to look at, if it's current, if it's Patrick Mahomes, if it's Aaron Rodgers, you have sort of like an EKG. You have up years, you have down years, but they're good quarterbacks. The statistics generally fluctuate with how good the supporting cast is.
Josh brought this up, and he said there's 3 tiers, and then I added a tier, and I just want your thoughts on it. But there's tiers to quarterbacks in the NFL. No business starting. Then there's the tier of they won't lose you a game. Then there's the tier they can win you some games. And then I added a tier of they can win you championships. So where would you put Jalen Hurts, and just your thoughts on our new tiers that we invented here?
It's funny, the tiers. Mike Sando does tiers for The Athletic. He's a long time national writer. He talks to a lot of executives, and they have tiers. Jalen's in tier 1, whatever you want to call it as. He reached that last year. If you want to talk about tiers within tier 1, I don't know if he can reach Patrick Mahomes, but I don't know if anybody can, although he outplayed him in the Super Bowl for anybody who paid attention. So I mean, he's however you want to label that tier one. He belongs. He's in it right now. But consistency defines everything. Can you stay there? How long can you stay there? As far as some of the bottom tiers you guys were mentioning, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how people look. There's 3 quarterbacks we know that are going to start, rookie quarterbacks. I mean, how are you going to gauge those guys? Yeah. It's all.
Well, I don't think you can, John.
Say, I just think I just got to see Anthony Richardson. I mean, physically, yeah, give me that guy. But I mean, he's not ready to play. You know, I think he's in a good situation with Shane Steichen to develop, but it's going to take a while. And then I go to Fields. Fields was abysmal as a passer last year. Did anybody notice that?
Oh, it was really bad. That's why they added DJ Moore, hoping that him having a better receiving core might help him.
Yeah, but I think the Bears did a disservice to him because they first of all, they had a defensive head coach, which made no sense. They didn't build up around him, which made no sense. And Lord knows what they did to the kid. We'll see this year because they're a little bit better, but they still have a bad offensive line. They still don't have a great running game. They still don't have a coaching staff that is built to bring along a young quarterback. So I don't know. Situation matters as well. And you can go all the way back to 99. I've always said, and I've written about it many times over the years, what if Tim Couch or Achilles Smith landed with Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb had to go into their terrible situations? I don't, history has completely changed. Situations matter. They really do.
Oh, 100%. Me and Ryan talked about as well earlier that, people act like they're these quarterbacks who won with a bunch of nobodies. And it's like, there's no team that won a championship with a bad roster. It's just absolutely impossible. And it's funny, John, you mentioned with the Bears, and that's realistic. I mean, when we can say the Bears' 2 best quarterbacks of the last 40 years were Jim McMahon and Jay Cutler. I think we all know why Justin Fields doesn't have a great environment in Chicago, because historically that organization has not done a very good job of cultivating quarterbacks in any decade.
No, and to be fair, I mean, Ryan Poles, I always get him out. It's interesting because they fired Ryan Pace and hired Ryan Poles.
That's not
fired
confusing.
Matt Nagy and hired Matt Eberflus. Yeah, so they didn't want to change the nameplates on the doors, I guess. But
they saved a little money, John. That's what they were doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fair to talk about the history. I mean, we'll see. But, to me, if you're going to draft a young quarterback, and I like Fields coming out. I loved him coming out.
Me too.
If you're going to draft a young quarterback, you have to do everything in your power to maximize that particular quarterback. And that's the case this year with Richardson and Young and Stroud. Those organizations have to build everything around those quarterbacks. And that starts with the coaching staff. You need an offensive mind. You need a quarterback developer, whoever you think that is. You don't mess with defensive coaches when you're trying. You can do that with a veteran quarterback who's already entrenched. But if you have to bring somebody along, so that I think hurts Fields. And then you got to build up in what the Eagles and the Eagles have done this stuff perfectly. I mean, yes, the people who say, "Oh, Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown." Well, what do you want him to decline A.J. Brown? No, I don't want him. What are we doing here? He's got to prove himself without A.J. Brown? He's, by the way, one of his best friends, and he's one of the reasons he's here because he pushed for that trade. I don't understand the thought process of people. The whole goal is to build teams, to build good teams. And the Eagles have been able to do that. And they've tried to maximize their young quarterback, not only, again, with bringing in those players that they brought in, but by also having, Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen and Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo. And if you go back to Carson Wentz, when he had success, before the injuries,
right,
it was Doug Peterson and Frank Reich and John DiFilippo. All these offensive lines. Like people say the NFL is a copycat league, but there's a lot of teams that can't copy the right thing.
Yeah, they're like a car company war where people think just because you make a just because you make a sports car doesn't mean it's actually as good as the other person's sports car. It's not universal. John McMullen from Birds 365 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Eagles Insider joining us on the Elite Acura hotline. Visit Elite Acura during the summer performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, online at eliteacura.com. John, speaking of the offense, I wanted to ask you, because we were having a bit of a conversation about the offensive line as well. What is the latest on the O-line? Because I feel like that conversation that we were having with the right guard is kind of like dissipated. I mean, I know it looks like that Cam Jurgens is going to be the starter, but one of the things the Eagles, part of the strength of the offensive line has also been their depth. So talk to us about, hey, if someone were to go down, God forbid, what happens to the Eagles this year?
Yeah, it wouldn't be good. The depth isn't as good, but I always look. We've seen it happen on the offensive line a couple times. You saw it at the end of Andy's reign, where they had a bunch of injuries and it kind of derailed things. And you saw it at the end of Doug Peterson as well, when Lane specifically had to have the ankle surgery and shut it down. And they had multiple injuries on the offensive line. And when that happens, it's an issue. And people talk about, and I was on another show and they asked me, what's your biggest concern other than the obvious ones? Because it's obvious, linebackers, safety, we've been talking about that forever. But I said, if they had multiple injuries on the offensive line, they're going to be in trouble. And they will be, but I don't know how many teams could stand that. It's like, yeah, they had Andre Dillard and Cam Jurgens last year as backup players, which is phenomenal. But still, if they were forced to play, it wouldn't be as good as the guys that were in there. It's, in other words, if you're going to lose Lane Johnson, you're not going to pluck another all-pro off the bench anywhere. Same thing with Jason Kelsey, who's a future Hall of Famer. You're not going to replace that. So if those guys get hurt, yeah, I mean, that's the strength of the Eagles team. And, a potentially great season turns into a probably very, very difficult struggle. And we're just talking about quarterbacks, and the quarterback talent wouldn't change at all. But there are more things than quarterbacks that make a football team run.
I equate, just thinking back to, your comments with saying, I don't know what people are thinking when we talk about diminishing Jalen Hurts because of his talent around him. Here's my comparison / analogy for Jalen Hurts. I think he's like Tim Duncan. I look at his season last year. He's super boring, but he's a superstar, right? Like, he's not going to be on the ESPN top 10 highlight reel. Like, he's not doing Patrick Mahomes types of things, but he's capable. It's not really a dig there. I'm just saying their approach offensively last year was boring at times, yet extremely efficient and effective. Would you agree to that comparison, John?
Oh, I'm not going to go that far because Tim Duncan was the big fundamental. That's what they would call him. He was truly a boring player, but he was great. He was phenomenal. And it's the Eagles, if he could become the equivalent of what Tim Duncan was in the NBA, you should take that 50 times over. But he was boring. I don't think Jalen is boring. I mean, he makes some phenomenal plays. Usually, the highlight plays are usually with the legs or extending plays, throwing the football. But he makes some phenomenal plays. Nobody's like Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes is like, I compare, if you want to go the NBA route, Mahomes to me is Steph Curry.
Yes.
In that, like, he does stuff no one else has ever done before. Like, before Steph Curry, if you would pull up and shoot the basketball from 35 feet, the coach would pull you out of the game and bench you for 3 weeks.
Right.
For everybody on the planet, that would have been a bad shot. For Steph Curry, it's like, yawning.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever did that before. And that's what Mahomes does. Mahomes plays, and probably partially because of his dad, he plays the game like a shortstop more than a pitcher. His dad was a pitcher, but he's got that baseball background, and you're not supposed to throw a football. Like anybody who's ever played football knows you get taught, especially at the quarterback position, the feet got to be in the right position. You got to square your shoulders every time to throw the football. And he's throwing from different arm angles and no-look passes.
And he's training for that.
Yeah, and he trains for it. You saw it if you watched the Netflix show.
Yeah.
He does. But nobody's ever done it before. So I don't know if you can comp anybody to Patrick Mahomes. Rodgers a little bit with the arm angles and stuff, but not to the degree Mahomes does.
He's John McMullen. Give him a follow on Twitter at JF McMullen. Birds 365 every day, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And then every day right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, J-Mac, one more preseason game to go, and then we'll get serious here. All right.
Yeah, it'll be nice. It'll be nice to get that in the rearview mirror. And it's only it's tomorrow night. It feels like I'll never get past it. It's an 8:00 game too, because of Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to be watching Ian Book at 11:00 at night.
John, I was just telling Ryan about that earlier, about the fact that, we don't even get Scott Graham and Ross Tucker calling the game. For those of us who are not at the game, we're stuck with the Amazon Prime stream probably buffering at 9:00 at night.
Yeah, I don't think so many people. I did not know. I assumed there was a local. They always have a local component, at least for the local people. I assumed Amazon was only national. I assumed Ross would still be doing the game, but I don't know. I don't know how that works. They've changed that too. I got to keep up with that.
Yeah, the rule is supposed to be, just to jump in, the rule is supposed to be that if in the local market, you're supposed to have the streaming game. The problem is that from what I understand, that rule only applies to the regular season and the playoffs. That technically in the preseason, you don't have to do it.
Loophole.
So we're going to find out tomorrow if anyone really cares about that rule or not.
Jeez.
Well, I know I don't, because I haven't researched it. I could probably open up the Eagles game notes and figure it out, but even that's too much for me.
Yeah. No, John. Yeah, you got enough on your plate, man.
I'm just saying you might want to be prepared tomorrow. Jody Mack asks you about it tomorrow morning on Birds 365.
Yeah, he might too.
Yeah.
He's Mr.
Don't put it past him.
And by the way, you guys have put that on my radar, and I'm telling you right now, I still won't be ready for that question because I still care enough to look it up.
Well, John, I did what I could. I tried to help.
I appreciate it.
That's what we do. All right, J-Mac. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. There he is. John McMullen. Always a good time chatting it up with J-Mac, like I've said, and we'll say it. You can follow at F McMullen, at Wise Rye on Twitter, at Josh Hennig on Twitter. Josh and Ryan hanging with you here on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash. No Mike Gill. You know, MG went to the Little League World Series.
He sent me a picture.
Yeah, I forgot to ask who he went with because I was joking with him Monday. I was like, it'd be pretty creepy if you go by yourself, man.
Now, I will tell you that according to the online, Fox 29 is supposed to have the Eagles game.
Okay.
But like I said, the rule is that's only a rule for the regular season.
Right. So that
So,
may not be the case.
Like, I don't know. Like, does Fox 29 basically just be like, do they flip a switch and be like, whatever, and whatever comes through is going to be on TV for 4 hours? Like, I don't know.
Goodness.
I don't know how that works. Like, like, for example, in the regular season, if you don't see the game on Amazon Prime, they replay the entire broadcast after midnight on NFL Network. So,
Okay.
like, if you're a late person like me,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, maybe I missed like the very beginning of the game, you'll catch the game on NFL Network afterwards. But like, it's the raw feed on NFL Network. So, like, you're getting like the weird Amazon commercials in there too.
My
So like,
goodness.
does Fox 29 just like they flip a switch and walk away for 4 hours, or do they actually care that the game's even on?
I mean, I'm going to be reevaluating my life at 11 p.m. watching Ian Book take snaps.
Yeah, make
The Philadelphia Eagles. I hope.
I
All
feel
right.
pretty confident saying that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a safe bet by you. All right, let's take a quick time out here on the Sports Bash. Ryan and Josh, plenty more still ahead. We still have Jeff Mosher at 4 p.m. for football at 4. We have Dave Weinberg coming up in the 5 o'clock hour to have some fun with us, talk some birds and whatever else we stumble upon. And your text messages, we still have plenty more to get to. Keep them coming, 609-403-0973. Is the Eagles' success as simple as Jalen Hurts? And his success will continue that conversation. And the Phils, questions, comments, concerns, coming your way next on 97.3 ESPN.
We never stop talking Eagles and NFL. It's football at 4. Every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. MattBlattNissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
The Dell Technologies Back to School event is on with deals on top tech for class, hobbies, and more. Now, when you buy, you support a cause. With every eligible purchase, Dell will donate to UNICEF in support of GIGA, a UNICEF ITU global initiative to connect schools across the globe to the internet. Accidental damage protection included. Get rare deals on select laptops and desktops powered by the latest Intel Core processors. Save now at Dell.com/deals. UNICEF does not endorse any company, brand, product, or service.
We are here with Dr. Scott Hernberg, Medical Director and founder of Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield, one of our 97.3 ESPN industry aces. Dr. Hernberg, tell us about Tomorrow's Wellness Center.
We offer the most advanced technology and evidence-based practices in a holistic and integrative manner to provide optimal health and wellness. We strive passionately to make folks look and feel their best.
You treat ED. How common is ED?
Erectile dysfunction is a very common disorder, particularly as men begin to age. Typically, about 40% of men experience some form of erectile dysfunction.
And what does Tomorrow's Wellness Center do for ED?
We use a protocol called the Gaines wave therapy. What this therapy involves is low-intensity shock waves that are essentially sound waves. It's natural, essentially painless procedure used to improve the blood flow as well as to improve the sensitivity.
Dr. Scott Hernberg from Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield. You can find out more at tomorrowswellnesscenter.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The iconic and most rewarding place to play is now available online. Caesars Palace Online Casino has all of your favorite games, including exclusive ones only available on Caesars Palace Online. Fantastic jackpots, daily promotions, and more. With Caesars Rewards, the largest and most rewarding loyalty program in gaming and entertainment. Every play brings you closer to the remarkable benefits only Caesars can offer. Bonuses, dining, tickets, VIP experiences, stays at over 50 Caesars Rewards destinations, and more. As a welcome to you, download today to get a $10 sign-up bonus and 100% deposit match up to $1,000. You must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Minimum wagering within 7 days required to unlock bonuses. Full terms and wagering requirements at CaesarsPalaceOnline.com/promos. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please play responsibly.
Clorox disinfecting wipes help clean thousands of life's messes, like mess number 5, food delivery grease spots on the kitchen counter.
Pad thai, oh my.
And mess number 41, coffee grounds that miss the filter.
Let's try this again.
And mess number 12, stepping directly into that deceivingly wet patch of grass.
Sorry, dude.
Clorox disinfecting wipes are there for you for thousands of life's messes and kill 99.9% of viruses and bacteria when used as directed. Shop now at Clorox.com. Clorox, start clean.
50% off everything has arrived at Banana Republic Factory for a limited time. Explore end-of-summer savings on reimagined classics, fall-ready styles, and more, only at your nearest Banana Republic Factory store.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Labor Day deals are here. Yes. Right now at Bennett Chevrolet, we've got all our red hot Labor Day deals going on now. These are special holiday sale offers you won't find anywhere else. No way, no how. While other dealers are still selling at or above MSRP, Bennett's selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. Forget about MSRP prices, because at Bennett, you'll get the same deal employees get. You'll save even more with available 1.9% financing. 1.9%. And right now, Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. Yep, you heard right. Bennett's giving a minimum $10,000 for any rusted out old rattle trap you can drive or even tow to Bennett Chevy. Imagine how much more you'll get for a good trade. And Bennett's famous non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so there's never any pressure. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig and Ryan Rothstein on a Hope Day Wednesday, filling in for Mike Dale on 97.3 ESPN. We get more deep into the football with Jeff Mosher coming up at Football at 4 in about a little less than 30 minutes from now, actually. But right now, as we promised, Ryan, we got to get to the listeners.
Yeah.
Next 609-403-0973. A bunch of texts have been coming in. I want to start with this one because Steven Ventnor brought up a very interesting one. We had somebody texting earlier asking about the Eagles making a trade, and Steven Ventnor had came up with his own idea, and I thought it was an interesting. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's definitely an interesting question because he said, I think the Eagles should trade for Isaiah Simmons from the Cardinals. He's a versatile piece. He's going to play in Arizona isn't going to be good. They're not going anywhere.
No.
Maybe Jonathan Gannon can help us out. Simmons can cover tight ends and he stick his nose in the box as well as from Ventnor. I think it's a very interesting point because I don't think the Eagles are trading for him, but I think that's a trade that would make sense because of what he can do in the Eagles defense.
In Howie, I trust. In Howie, I trust, right? Correct me if I'm wrong with my timeline here, Josh, but the Eagles acquired Bradbury, I want to say right around this time. It was like late August.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson?
Bradbury. Wasn't it like late August when we first acquired Bradbury?
No, you're thinking of C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
When? Okay.
Bradbury they signed before training camp.
Okay, so it was CJ then.
They
around
traded
this
for
time?
CJ. It was like right around like this time of the month. It just was like a random. It might have even been like a 20. I have to look it up. I know it was around this time of the month that they traded for him. It was in August. They traded for Ronald Darby. It was in August. They traded for somebody else too.
Okay, so my point there is, if the Eagles start to suck at safety and/or linebacker, Howie's not going to sit on his hands, right? And it's just not going to happen. So, Steven Ventnor, I like where your head's at because that's where Howie's head will be at. Like, don't get it twisted. If the Eagles are shorthanded in the secondary, if they need some help at the safety position, they are going to go get help. When has Howie Roseman not done anything about addressing a position in an area of need? When has he ever sat on his hands in recent years? Dating back to the Super Bowl, dating back to leading up to the Super Bowl, Howie Roseman is active. All right. He is active and he is online. That's just the bottom line. So, we can continue to field ideas and suggestions, names, whatever it may be. Keep them coming, 609-403-0973. But, maybe I'm naive, Josh. I don't have a worry about the defense. Even if the defense is not a top 5 defense, I'm not necessarily worried about this team defensively, specifically in the secondary.
I think the only concern I have about the Eagles secondary, as I said before, is safety. We talked about this yesterday.
Sure.
But I don't know if Simmons fixes your safety problem because he's more of like a half safety, half linebacker type player.
But what do the Eagles really need at safety?
They need a playmaker.
Right, but I'm saying, I don't think they need a Brian Dawkins, who really doesn't even exist anymore.
Well, the problem is they have about 3 of those guys. They have 3 guys who blow people up. Blankenship, Edmonds, and Brown are all guys who...
Well, that style of play, but not at that level.
No, not that level. Correct.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is I'm looking for... I'm not even saying it has to be C.J. Gardner-Johnson type necessarily. By the way, it was August 30th.
There you go. A week from today.
Right, a week from today is when they acquired it.
Yeah.
So... But it's that style of player, that guy who allows Edmonds and or Blankenship and or Brown to be the playmaker, to roam and hit people and go after the ball, who basically covers the back end, who's got Bradbury, Slay, and Maddox's back if the receiver does get by them for whatever reason. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And, they had to let listen, that's also a different topic, but I was going to say they had to let CJ walk, which they didn't. I understand. But my assessment of that is maybe CJ Gardner-Johnson is not the guy we think he is.
I saw that audio, by the way.
What audio?
Oh, you didn't hear the audio?
Well, I don't know what there's a lot of audio out in the world.
CJ Gardner-Johnson audio.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you want to play that?
So this is from this came out in July. So, guys on Twitch and people asking them questions while they're playing video games is like a thing.
Yes, it is a thing. Yeah.
So CJ Gardner-Johnson, apparently he doesn't like Eagle fans. Maybe you hadn't heard. I'm surprised you didn't hear this.
No, I think I've heard it, but let's play it.
Yeah. So this is probably another reason why CJ Gardner-Johnson is not here, not just because the Eagles weren't going to overpay for him.
All right, my least favorite thing is the people. It's obnoxious. I can't stand it. Favorite thing, I say, the weather was a dub. I with the weather. It's cold, but I with it though.
He's fine with the weather, but he didn't like Eagle fans. It's like the stupidest thing. Like that.
He's just salty. He's salty there about not being an Eagle.
It's so obvious why this guy is not here. And he just keeps giving you reasons.
Well,
why.
You think that's why? Because for me, I think he's like a salty ex there. Like he's putting the team and the city and the fans on blast because of how it ended, of how things ended.
Well, it goes back to the issues with him at Florida, the issues with him in New Orleans was that it wasn't on the field. It was who he was off the field was the issue with him.
Yeah, I kind of liked him. I did like him when he was here. And
I liked him on the field.
Yeah, but I think his attitude and personality was a role in how he played as a football player. You know what I mean? Like that goes hand in hand at times. Most of the time it does, at least. Not all the time.
But the larger point what we were saying is that you don't want CJ Gardner-Johnson maybe, but you need that style of player.
Sure.
And that's why for safety, I'm still concerned. And I don't think Isaiah Simmons is that player I'm looking for. I like a team that's got layers to it. I don't like too many guys who all do the same thing. That's my only beef with the Eagles' current safety setup.
Yes, but look at our problems, right? Like, look at our problems as Eagles fans. They're not that bad, and it's not that long of a list, right? I mean, it's what we do. It's why we're fans. We love to just nitpick and debate about areas of weakness as well as areas of strength, but we're sitting pretty right now. we're sitting pretty. Like, does anyone out there feel like the lack of depth at safety is going to be a significant issue to the point of this team, of it hindering this team's chances to get back to the Super Bowl? I don't.
It depends. I mean, if you get to the NFC Championship game and you're playing a team that can manipulate you defensively, you know, if the 49ers don't have, like, you know, Josh Johnson coming on the field, you know, in the championship game,
Yeah.
and your safeties are Terrell Edmonds and Reed Blankenship,
Yeah, but in that game, like, let's go back to the NFC Championship game. If me and you were at safety, the amount of pressure that was being generated up front, it didn't even matter who was playing safety.
well, in that game. What I'm
Right,
saying
but
there are teams in this league that have the talent to offset the safety situation that we have.
Yes.
And I think the 49ers have the talent, is what I'm saying.
They have the talent. Do they have the talent at quarterback? I don't know. Like, you need a quarterback that's going to be able to withstand pressure, move within the pocket, get out of the pocket, and throw the ball over top those safeties, which, you know, I think there's maybe 3 to 5 guys that can really successfully do that over a 4-quarter span.
And I think to your point, you're saying that those 3 to 5 guys are not in the NFC.
No.
You're saying those guys are all in the AFC.
They're all in the AFC. You know, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, maybe
Aaron Rodgers.
Lawrence and Rodgers. Yeah, sure. I mean, Jared Goff does not instill fear in me. Sorry. Purdy and Darnold do not instill fear in me.
Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott.
Cousins can, but the Eagles have had the Vikings number for a long time.
See, the problem with the Vikings is, to me, it's actually not even Cousins.
No.
It's everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, the problem to me with the Vikings is that it's Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and who the heck else is on the team.
Mhm.
Like, that's the problem with the Vikings. Like, I feel like a team like the Eagles look at the Vikings and be like, look, if we just double team Justin Jefferson and don't let Hawkinson go off, we could beat them. Like, that's the formula. Like, when the Eagles play the Vikings, was it Thursday Night Football this year? They're playing them. Like, I don't think the Eagles are going into that game being like, man, I'm really worried about that KJ Osborne.
Right. I hope not. Right.
Man,
Yeah.
Alexander Madison's going to have a 200-yard game against us.
Yeah.
You're not worried about those guys.
No, you're not worried about them. You're not worried about them. And this offense, let me correct that. This league is built on offensive success, and the Eagles have the offensive DNA to be the number 1 offense in the NFL this year. This Eagles team offensively can be the number 1 offense in the NFL from top to bottom. And that should get you excited.
Dan and EHC chimes in on the text board at 609-403-097. She says, you guys are absolutely correct. Wentz didn't have the it factor. Jalen has the it factor. The it is very complicated to explain in sports. QB position has to have it. There's no doubt. I think that's a good point, because it's not a universal explanation you can explain in every sport.
No.
But it's something that, you know, it's very obvious who has it and who doesn't, you know, and he's right. Wentz didn't have the mental fortitude and the mental capacity and the mindset and the attitude and the approach to be a champion.
Correct. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And Jalen has it, man. Jalen has it.
He has it in spades. He has tons of it.
Yeah, he has it in absolute spades, and he's not the only one on this Eagles roster that has it. The guy snapping him the ball has it too, you know, amongst other guys, whether it's Lane Johnson, whether it's A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, that list goes on.
Now, Cole from LBI, we will acknowledge he did follow up with us about the Hurts conversation, because he's the first one who brought it up. And he goes on to say, name another QB that has elite weapons and elite O-line. No other team has an O-line with potentially 4 Pro Bowlers or running an RPO with that line as elite weapons, is why I think Hurts took a major step last year. Like I said, he's good and he's a leader. He goes on to say, it's crazy to say Hurts is the reason, because they got to the Super Bowl. The D-line knocked out the 49ers quarterback in the championship game. So I want to respond to a couple things there. Number one, it is not crazy to say Hurts is the reason, because everyone voted this guy the MVP runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
If Patrick Mahomes didn't exist, Hurts is the MVP.
Even if he did exist, if Hurts didn't get hurt, he's the MVP.
Well, there's that part, but you could argue Mahomes just has such a magical season. It's ridiculous.
Sure, get
but
it.
The thing is, you can't dismiss what Hurts did last year just because the defense knocked out the 49ers quarterback.
Right, exactly.
They're two separate things.
Well, both can be true.
Like the Eagles could have knocked out the quarterback and won the game 10-7. Then you say the defense is the reason why you won the game.
Sure.
But they didn't win the game 10-7.
Yeah, they dominated offensively.
They dominated in every facet of the game. Even the special teams showed up for one game.
Yeah.
So the Eagles quarterback, yes, he has an elite offensive line, but so do a lot of guys. You act like Patrick Mahomes' offensive line is trash. It's not.
Here's the problem. You're looking at it in a vacuum with tunnel vision, right? Like, yes, the Eagles' O-line was great. Their wide receivers were great. They have a top 5 tight end. Yes, like their defense was unbelievable. A historic season statistically, particularly with the guys, the big boys up front. But Jalen Hurts was also an MVP. The Eagles could beat you in a variety of ways last year. And why? Because of Jalen Hurts, right? Like they had the ability to beat you many ways without Jalen because of the talent around him.
Right.
But you insert a guy of his magnitude, and now you sit here and say, okay, now we have the best team arguably in the NFL. And that's what we saw. That was the result.
One more text I want to squeeze in here before we hit the break, because we'll get back to the Philly stuff a little bit later. But AJ from Cape May Courthouse chimes in and says, we have the running back depth to make a trade for offensive line depth. No question mark. That's from AJ.
Maybe.
How do you define running back depth? I think that's the problem. Like,
we have it. What do you mean?
Well, like for example, the Colts are trying to trade Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
But no one is going to give up multiple first-round picks for him. You know what I mean? That'd be craziness.
Right.
So if you're a team that needs a running back, do you call the Eagles about who? Like, are you calling them about Swift, Penny, Gainwell? You're not calling about Sermon. You're not calling about Boston Scott.
You could call about Sermon. You could call about Scott.
But you can get like a 6th-round pick for him.
Well, that's yeah. But to the texter's point, maybe you're willing to give up one of your 3rd or 4th, string running backs for some depth on defense. I don't know. The Eagles are not going to trade Gainwell. They're not going to trade Penny.
I feel comfortable saying they're not trading the top 3.
Right. So, but then what are you looking to add on defense with one of those other guys? That other team has to be really in a bind for you to get lucky.
Well, also a team like the Cowboys, you're not trading to a team in your division. Like the Cowboys could definitely use a backup running back to pair with Pollard. Who else could maybe need a running back? I mean, the Rams, I guess. The Rams could use some running back help.
Sure, there's a number of teams.
Seahawks got some injuries at running back, but like, I don't know, like, how willing are you to trade within your own conference or in your own division, knowing you might have to face that guy later on?
Well, if that guy's your 4th or 5th stringer, barely making the team, you don't really, I don't think you give a damn, but, I think that's more of the elite upper echelon type player where you say, we don't want him in the division. We don't want him in the conference. Although the Eagles have done that in the past. They've sent guys to, even division opponents, let alone NFC.
Well, I think that was a situation where they kind of manipulated the situation, like with trading Donovan McNabb to Washington.
Yes.
It was like the Eagles knew
he was done.
And that's why the joke now is like, hey, like the Patriots, like, well, the Patriots got rid of him. Why do you want him? Kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Like, that's always the joke. It's kind of the same with the Eagles in certain positions. It's like, well, if the Eagles got rid of that guy, what are you doing
with him?
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
Baker Mayfield is now on a list with Donovan McNabb. I don't know if you've seen this, but Baker Mayfield is going to start 3 different week 1s for 3 different teams now after getting the starter job. It's him, it's Donovan McNabb, it's Carson Wentz, and it's Kurt Warner are like the main guys.
I tell you what, man, I don't mind Baker Mayfield at all. And I like Tampa to win that division.
So do I.
I really do. I think people are.
I'm glad you're someone else is saying it aside from me.
Tampa Bay has talent. They have a good defense. They have talent up and down that roster.
I mean, people forget how injured they were last year.
Very much so.
I mean, they were devastated with injuries. I mean, if that team is like mostly healthy, you're telling me Baker Mayfield throwing the Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, he's got a solid offensive line and some studs on defense?
Yeah, how many wins is it going to take to win that division?
9, 10?
I think 9. You're the champ. And they can get to 9 just by beating up on the Falcons and the Panthers and the Saints.
He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig here on the Sports Bash. 97.3 ESPN. Still to come football at 4 with Jeff Motion from the Inside the Birds podcast and more your text. Don't forget, we will get back to the Phillies a little bit later in the show. Keep the messages coming in. 609-403-0973.
From the beach,
the beaches are open and people are having a wonderful time,
to the ballpark.
Swing and a high fly ball, left field. That one is back. Gone. Harper delivers.
We've got you covered. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
We have exciting news to share with New Jersey residents. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. We're the health plan you know, with a new name and look. If you've been a WellCare of New Jersey member, nothing is changing. You have the same benefits and services you rely on, and can continue to see the primary care doctors and specialists you trust in our New Jersey network, close to home. If you're a member and we haven't spoken in a while, now's a great time to give us a call and make sure your contact information is up to date. And if you're a New Jersey resident who needs health insurance for yourself or a family member, you can count on us for quality, affordable coverage. We're here for you and your family, just like we've always been. Call 1-888-453-2534, TTY 711, or visit FidelisCareNJ.com. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. New name and look, same benefits and care.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Baseball fans, the Bet Parks app has you covered. Bet more than the score. Bet player performances, home runs, hits, strikeouts. Bet game combos like winning team and over-under on total runs. Bet Parks futures bet on MVP, Rookie of the Year, and more. All new users bet $10 and get $125 in sportsbook bonus if your first bet wins. BetParks.com has terms and conditions. New users and winning bets only. Sports bonus bet must be wagered once. See website for details. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambler problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Crank the AC because it's not just hot, it's sizzling hot. All summer long at Parks Casino and Sportsbook. Pennsylvania's #1 casino brings you more ways to make this your hottest summer ever. The slots are hot. Table games are hot. The restaurants are hot. The biggest and best sportsbook on the East Coast is hot. The entertainment is even hotter. Don't miss a minute of the action. Visit ParksCasino.com. Street Road exit off 95 in the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Parks Casino. This is how you win.
This is how you win.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Reggie
was a nurse for 16 years.
I had become very burnt out. I wasn't making good money.
Then it happened.
There was an ad for My Computer Career, and it just spoke to me.
My Computer Career was the best decision he ever made.
I could study anywhere from my laptop, and I was working in the first couple weeks of me being in class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
All right, welcome back. The Phillies look to take the sweep, get the brooms out, hopefully, over the San Francisco Giants. That game is going to be getting underway soon as the Sports Bash continues. We got you to 6 p.m., Ryan and Josh, filling in for Mike Gill on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash. We come back, we say hello, and we take a quick timeout. Just to remind you, don't go anywhere. Keep the text messages coming, 609-403-0973. You have questions about the Birds, about the Phillies, about the Sixers, whatever's on your mind. We have a fun 2 hours planned for you, so keep it locked in. When we come back, football at 4, baby, powered by Inside the Birds. Jeff Mosher joins the show. You're not going to want to miss it. Ryan and Josh and Moshe coming your way next.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles close out the 2023 preseason tomorrow, hosting the Indianapolis Colts at the Link. Eagles Radio Network coverage begins at 7 p.m. with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action, starting at 8 p.m. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
As the carefree summer days wind down and the first day of school grows closer, getting our kids back to a regular bedtime schedule is vital. Kids who don't get enough sleep have less energy to think in class and to do the things that keep them healthy, such as exercising or playing a sport. So limit those up-all-night sleepovers and be firm about a set bedtime and wake time. To make it easier, keep a regular dinner time. Make sure your kids get fresh air and activity during the day. And so important, turn off screens at least an hour before bed. That blue light can stimulate their brains and make it harder for them to fall asleep. By getting our kids' sleep schedule on track, we'll make the transition from summer days to school days much easier. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, the longest-running health series in New Jersey, keeping you healthy since 1986. Nutrition, fitness, wellness, and daily tips to help you learn more, live better.
Did you know Atlantic County has been recycling for more than 35 years? Recycling is an easy and important activity you can do every day to help the environment. ACUA reminds you to recycle metal cans, glass jars, cardboard, paper, and plastics with the numbers 1, 2, and 5 inside the recycling symbol. To help keep this successful system going, never put plastic bags in your curbside recycling container, and please rinse off food residue. To learn more, visit acua.com or call 609-272-6950.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
Every business deserves a great deal. That's why, for a limited time, we're launching the Mobile Made Free event. With Comcast Business Internet, new and existing customers can get 1 year of unlimited mobile for free. Yep, you heard that right. An entire year, free. It's our best internet, powered by the next generation 10G network and with 99.9% reliability, plus 1 line of free mobile for a year. The Mobile Made Free event is happening now.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $49 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, ask how to get up to a $600 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Call or go online to learn more. Offer ends 9/21/2023. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments. New 50 megabits per second internet and security edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Mobile offer requires 100 megabits per second internet and new unlimited intro mobile service.
The extracurricular activities, the traffic, the nightly homework, the traffic, the finding time to eat dinner together as a family, the traffic. Back to school can be stressful. Thanks to Ziploc, meal prep doesn't have to be. New Ziploc bags with Stay Open design have a patented stand-up bottom that helps keep the bag upright and a top crease that folds and holds for easy filling, unlocking a second set of hands in the kitchen. If only it unlocked a second set of lanes. New Ziploc brand freezer and storage bags with Stay Open design from S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Hey, Mark, I just stopped in to say hello, and whoa, the phones are ringing off the hook. Safe to say business is going well?
Yeah, word of mouth kept us afloat after we opened. Then there was a bit of a lull, but it finally feels like we've been getting a steady flow of new customers over the past few months.
What have you been doing? It definitely looks like it's working.
Thanks. We needed to be able to be found where people are searching, and today that means being found online.
How'd you pull that off? Sounds pretty complicated.
No, it was easy. I went to townsquarelocal.com to see how many people are searching for my services in the area. Then the experts at Townsquare helped build my online presence, so my business could be found exactly when and where customers were looking.
That's amazing. Do you think they could help me too?
Absolutely. Go to townsquarelocal.com to find out.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for how many customers are searching for your services online. It's quick and easy. Get your business found online by visiting townsquarelocal.com today.
A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit. He stumbles. He's down.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Jeff Mosier.
My personality is I want to win badly. I want to win more Lombardis for Philadelphia and our fans. We got the greatest fans around, and I will do everything possible.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. This is Football at 4.
Josh Hennig and Ryan Rothstein filling in for Mike Gill on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Yes, Jeff Mosher is back with us in Football at 4, being brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games and Ocean Casino Resort. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win. For more info, visit oceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And Jeff Mosher is back as we are the day before the final preseason game, as Jeff joins us now on the Elite Acura Hotline. Jeff, welcome back. How you doing today?
What's up, fellas? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. So we got a bunch of stuff. We probably don't have enough time to get to everything with you here, so we'll do our best to lay it on with you because we had a lot of different topics throughout the day. So I'll start with this one, Jeff. What is really at stake for the game tomorrow? Because a lot of people realize no one from the Eagles is starting. So what is actually going to be the value of the game tomorrow?
Well, there's always, we talk about this every year. When you're playing in that final preseason game, what you're doing is trying to put as much good tape out there. You're not playing for a job with the team you're with. You're playing for a job for another team that you hope thinks you're a better fringe player than what they've got. So you're trying to put good tape, and it's happened many, many times. Guys who have performed well in preseason games and put good tape on for the Eagles or for whatever team have been waived by that team and then claimed by another team. So there are guys that are out there just trying to do the best they can to latch on with somebody, be it right after the cut down, sometime during the season, sometime, anytime, just put good tape out there. And then the second thing is for guys who are going to play early. There are some guys who are going to be on the Eagles this year that will play in this game, and they're just trying to get reps and get conditioning. I don't know if Zach Cunningham will play. We'll see about that. He's kind of elbowed his way up the linebacker totem pole quickly here, but he is a guy who wasn't at camp right away and was out a little bit. So he may get in there just to get a few reps in and then get out. Same with the Zacchaeus type of player, Olamide Zaccheaus. You just want to have guys who make sure that they're well conditioned for the season. A Tyler Steen, right? A rookie. Here's a guy who's going to be on the Eagles, not going to start right away, but really needs as many valuable game reps as possible, like real-time reps, to get himself prepared because he's developing right now. So he's a guy that could use this kind of environment to get better.
When you think about the guys you are going to try to play tomorrow night, talk to us about the cornerbacks, because I feel like that's the thing I'm going to be watching for, because when the Eagles cut Greedy Williams, I was surprised, Jeff, over the weekend, because Zach McPherson's done for the year. He tore his Achilles. So I thought, well, Greedy Williams might be a camp body at least, but apparently he was so bad, they were like, we'll just move forward what we got. So what is at stake for the corners? Because we know who the top guys are. It's Slay, Bradbury, Maddox, and then, I'm assuming based on listening to the Inside the Birds podcast or reading what you guys write at InsideTheBirds.com that Josh Jobe's making this team. So we already have 4 spots locked up. So how many guys are competing for a job potentially of the other guys?
Yeah, I don't know if it's more about how many guys are competing for how many cornerbacks, or who is just in general going to be the backup slot cornerback for Avonte Maddox, who's frequently hurt. It would have been Zach McPherson. He's gone. So now you're looking at Mario Goodrich has been the backup slot for a couple of weeks now. Well, he's hurt. So now he's out of that equation. So now you've got Josh Jobe, who's competing as an outside corner. And by the way, that's why you shouldn't be surprised that Greedy Williams is no longer the team, because Josh Jobe has had pretty much a stranglehold on that position about 2 weeks into camp. So there is an opening, though, as you mentioned, for at least a number 5 corner who you would love to be able to play the slot. But at this point, you just need probably a guy that you feel comfortable with. So Eli Ricks, I imagine, will get a pretty good look. Mekhi Garner will get some pretty significant snaps. And, those would be sort of my leaders in the clubhouse to make the 53, one of those guys, if they're going to go ahead and keep that extra corner now that Zach McPherson is injured. I mean, they have been working James Bradbury at the nickel spot. We talked about that the last time I was on Monday. So I'm sure there was some intent there. But I think the Eagles players have to force the Eagles brass to say, yes, we should keep a 5th corner, right? As opposed to we're keeping 5 just because that's like a number that we usually keep. And by the way, the conversation really will continue past the waiver if neither of those guys make it, but somebody gets cut that the Eagles feel has good inside-outside versatility, veteran corner, then you would have to look for that to be an area that they upgrade after the cut down day as well.
Moshe, obviously a lot of talk right now is surrounding the safety position. Is it enough? Who's going to win the battle? What's it going to look like on the depth chart when it's all said and done? But, we discussed this a little bit earlier in the show. Just want your 2 cents on it. I mean, I said in Howie I trust, right? And if this position is not looking up to par and it's looking a little bit shallow, to put it nicely, I mean, let's not rule out Howie Roseman looking to upgrade this position via trade at some point, whether it's in the next couple of weeks, whether it's before the deadline, week 3 or 4, but whenever it is, you get where I'm going. What's your assessment on that? Obviously that could be a likely option, right?
Certainly 100%. I mean, obviously we don't have to look too far in the past to find an example. Just last year, they realized that safety was a position that was going to hurt them, and they went out and got CJ Gardner-Johnson. They're in a little bit of a different spot right now because they can look and say our top 3 guys are in some form or fashion: Terrell Evans, Reed Blankenship, and Sidney Brown. 2 of those 3, we kind of like how they've developed, right? They like what they've seen from Reed Blankenship in year 2. And I have to imagine they're pretty happy with what they're seeing in Sidney Brown. Know he's going to make rookie mistakes, but in general, they drafted him for a reason. Last year, it felt like the cupboard was really bare, as far as what they had at that position, and not a whole lot of young talent on the come up. So I only say that to say, I don't know if Howie will urgently feel the need to get a safety the way he got CJ Gardner-Johnson. I can imagine he's more maybe looking for somebody out there that could help the team, that it's not going to cost like a 3rd or a 4th round pick. I mean, you never know if a guy who's really good becomes available and you think you can get him for the long term, yeah, it makes sense. But in this case, I would be thinking that they're looking for someone to just be maybe better than a Terrell Edmonds if someone gets released, or a fourth safety that might be better than Kevon Wallace or Justin Evans, but is still not very costly and you're not married to for several years.
We're still getting the narrative from certain listeners and Eagles fans of, Jalen Hurts, the verdict is still out. His support around him last year was phenomenal. And, that's why we saw the success statistically that we saw last season. And, I just sort of shake my head. And, I bring this up just to get into your thoughts on how much better can Jalen get this upcoming year. Are they going to, really just unleash him this year? Are we going to see an even better version? I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, if we get the same version of Jalen Hurts that we saw last year, I mean, I'm personally completely okay with that, but I am intrigued and excited to see how much better this dude can actually get, Moshe.
I know. I'm like you, Ryan. I'm sort of wrestling with the internal conflict of saying he's a young quarterback who stormed onto the scene. And if he's this young and was able to make that much of a jump from year one to year two starting, imagine what he can do right year 2 to year 3 with all that knowledge last year, all that experience. However, there is a little bit of as you're pointing out, a realistic viewpoint that you sort of have to at least consider, and that is very rare. Somebody puts together like an MVP like season like that and then just does it again the next year. And then, I mean, the people who do that year after year after year, they're like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, or they're, just trying like an Aaron Donald at defensive tackle. It's really hard to do that. And we've seen a lot of players who are very good, not maybe the elite of the elite, but good, have like peak years, then come back down a little bit, then go back up. So I'll just say this, after watching him in training camp, he's looked amazing. And I think he's got all the elements around him between the offensive line and the playmakers, and then the added weaponry at running back to actually have as good, if not better, statistical season as last year. So I would put my money more on Jalen Hurts being as good or better this coming year than I would dropping off.
Talking with Jeff Mosher here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. You can follow Jeff on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now, at Jeff P. Mosher over there on social media. Jeff, you mentioned about Jalen Hurts. I got to ask you about the other quarterback situation behind him, because we know Marcus Mariota is going to be the backup, but Tanner McKee is really making, I think he's performed better than I even expected him to personally. I mean, I thought him and Ian Book would compete for the third quarterback job. And we know that in today's NFL, with that new rule that you have to have multiple quarterbacks, available on game day now. So, what is your thought on the Tanner McKee situation? I mean, is he a guy that, has locked himself into that quarterback 3 on this roster? Because we know some teams are going to try to have the QB on the practice squad in the past instead of on the roster. The Eagles used to do that. So, where is Tanner McKee, and what are your thoughts on him at this point?
Yeah. All right. So first of all, to get to the first point you made, there is only one X. You're correct about that. And may he rest in peace. Secondly, yeah, I refuse to call that platform X. I'm sorry. There's just one X. Secondly, on Tanner McKee, what he's done is made it very difficult for the Eagles to say, yeah, we like this guy. We're going to waive him, pass him through waivers, then put him on our practice squad. I always make fun of people who overreact to running backs who do great. And people say, you can't cut him. You can't. Henry Josies and all those, and wide receivers too, right? You can cut those guys and get them through waivers pretty easily because everybody's got a great running back that in camp, or a running back who performs well. Quarterbacks, that's a whole different animal. And you always have to worry about those teams that know that they're going to be 4-11 this year. Like, I don't know, the Cardinals, or 4-13. I'm sorry, I did bad math there. 4-13. You have to worry about them trying to steal young quarterbacks.
Right.
So what Tanner McKee has done for the Eagles has made it very difficult for them to think that they can just bring him back on the practice squad and not have 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. And they're fine with carrying 53. I mean, 3 quarterbacks on the 53. They did it last year. The only thing is Book was a useful guy on the scout team because can run around. He's athletic. He can simulate whenever you're playing like a Russell Wilson or an Anthony Richardson or somebody else who's going to do the same thing. Tanner McKee could not simulate any of those guys. And so they may feel now the need to have Tanner McKee on the 53 for development, but then bring in another quarterback on the practice squad that can run the look team when they are facing mobile quarterbacks. But I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for them to want to keep the third quarterback because they've done it before and they like what they've seen in the games. And he's obviously worth developing, but there's really, to me, it would be unrealistic for them to try to waive him and bring him back on the practice squad.
When you think about also the next position I want to ask you about is we were getting some questions earlier today, Jeff, about running back, about what's going on with that. And it's looking more and more like Kenny Gainwell is the guy at this point at running back. So my question then is, if Gainwell's the guy, Jeff, what does that mean for Swift and Penny? Because I think a lot of people would assume those guys were brought in here to have roles. So if Gainwell has a larger than expected role, at least for those of us who are not in the Eagles building, what does that mean for the other guys?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that Gainwell is the guy in how we all view someone who's the guy, like whether it's, Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry, or even like Travis Etienne, who is going to lose a few carries to some other guys throughout the season. What's pretty obvious is that DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny don't practice a whole lot because the Eagles know that they have injury histories and the Eagles want to use these guys. So they're kind of what I would describe as on bubble wrap here throughout the preseason, and in the camp, even in the joint practices, you don't see him a whole lot. You see a lot of Kenny Gainwell because he's young and he can handle the workload, and you see a lot of Boston Scott because why not, right? So I'm not ready to kind of take what I've seen here in camp and preseason. I think this is one of those instances where you can get tricked a little bit if you don't see the forest through the trees here. I'm not saying Kenneth Gainwell is not going to be a prominent factor in the running game. They like him clearly. It's a situational backfield. They like him in 2-minute drill and 4-minute drill in goal line. They like him in short yardage, which is really weird because he's not a guy who came out of college that screamed short yardage back. He was a guy who caught a lot of passes. He screamed third down back, right? But for whatever reason, he hasn't really been an explosive running back at the NFL level, but he has been very good in short yardage. In fact, as we talked about on the podcast recently, I think PFF or another outlet had him described as the most efficient short yardage runner in the NFL last year, which is sort of mind-boggling. But so he'll have a role, but he's obviously going to have to share that role running with Rashad Penny and catching with DeAndre Swift.
What do you think the reps are going to look like? Impossible question to answer, but just the best of your ability, Moshe. Obviously, we'll see once the season gets underway and we get into October, November, and how that's shaping up in the backfield. But, you can really tie in just the offensive identity into this question. Like what's the run game going to look like? What's the preferred method to the madness here? How much different is it going to look, if at all? Just, speak to all of that as we're on this topic.
No, I mean, it'll certainly look different than the last year or two when they were basically a 2-man backfield or 1-man backfield. Last year, they were a Miles Sanders backfield, but Kenny Gainwell got his touches. 2 years ago, it felt more like a 2-person backfield. Obviously, they're going to be more than that. It's going to be more committee. It's going to be, like I said, situational. So what I suspect is the number of touches and carries from week to week to week might vary a little bit based on the opponent and what scheme they have in place for that opponent on a weekly basis. If they feel like whoever they're playing is really vulnerable to, pass catching running backs, can't match up with them, then you'll probably see DeAndre Swift involved early on, right? To try to get the ball moving through the air to a running back. And then if you're up by 14 to 17 points there in the second half, you're probably giving the ball to Rashad Penny a whole lot there to finish it off. So, and then there may be weeks where they think a team is really good in the back end, but struggles up front, and they want to pound away with Gainwell and Penny for the first quarter, and then, get the RPOs and the read options and get Jalen Hurts in the game. We saw this last year. Do you remember the game against the Jaguars where they were struggling, and then all of a sudden they just decided to run the ball a lot and then ran away from the Jags because it was working? So it's hard to really pin them down on what they're going to do. And I think that they're even deeper and more multi-dimensional to just kind of decide week to week where they think they can hit the opponent hardest.
Dallas Goedert's interesting to me as well. I mean, we talk about Jalen Hurts and what type of step can he take. We talk about the backfield and what type of steps he can take. We always look at best wide receiver duos in the NFL and Devontae Smith and his growth and obviously the evolution of A.J. Brown here in Philly. But, Dallas Goedert, how is he going to be used? And, obviously how much better can he continue to get?
He's a weapon. He's one of their best screen weapons, which is hard to believe, but for a tight end, but he's as good as any other pass catching tight end at making extra yardage in general, but especially on the screens. But you're right. And from what I've seen this off season or this preseason, the rhythm and the symmetry that Jalen Hurts has with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith feels like it's growing. Isn't that scary? Feels like it's growing. Devontae Smith, in my opinion, might be ready to enter the top 5 terrain. I actually think he's a better, more polished overall wide receiver than A.J. Brown, but we're splitting hairs because I think A.J. Brown's as good as it gets as well. I think Devontae just catches everything, and that's the little bit of the difference. So Dallas will still be a big part of the offense. I just don't know that it's going to – 2 years ago, we felt when it was just Devontae as a rookie, no A.J. Brown, that the offense should run through Dallas Goedert because he was their best weapon. He's their third best weapon now. So he's sort of going to be like what Kelsey was when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill, also a really good weapon. But sometimes, in fact, if you look at Kelsey's stats, they were better last year because there was no Tyreek Hill. For Dallas, he's just going to have to live with the fact that there's going to be times where he probably disappears, but then times where he's a major impact in the passing game.
Jeff, before we let you go, I got to ask you, because we talked about a couple people yesterday, because Ryan brings up the duos thing. Deshaun Jackson, he says that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. And, the Twitter X people, they were all going after D-Jax because they were saying, well, what about Miami? And what about Cincinnati? So, Jeff, do you see any lies in what Deshaun Jackson said, or do you think he's just being a homer there?
Probably being a little bit of a homer, but I don't see any lies either, though. I mean, I don't. I mean, I know Devontae Smith has to go out there and have that kind of 1,500-yard season or 8-10, whatever. I mean, maybe he doesn't because he was really good last year. We could be splitting hairs. I think the Miami duo is more explosive. There's no question about it. When you put them together, you can't match that change of direction that they have and sort of second gear explosion. But I still think that the Eagles duo is more versatile and they'll catch everything. They're bigger. They're strong, way more in the contested catch realm than probably the Miami duo. And then what was the other one that was
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati. Cincinnati's good too. I mean, it's right up there. You can make that argument. And you know what? Maybe that'll all be settled this year. But I see very, very few flaws with what the Eagles have, which is, by the way, in itself an amazing, amazing conversation for any Eagles fan, especially one who's over 40 or 50 years old and who's gone like decades. Like, there's never been a time where two Eagles receivers this good were playing together in their prime. Carmichael and Quick never played together in their
Not
prime.
in their prime, yeah.
No. So if you're an Eagles fan and you're over 50, this has to be like a freaking godsend to you to watch these guys play because you'd never see nothing like it as an Eagles fan.
No, absolutely not. That's for sure. I mean, even T.O., I don't remember who the number 2 receiver was for T. Was that Reggie Brown?
It was Pinkston.
Pinkston? Yeah.
Pinkston and FredEx.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Freddie Mitchell was a slot guy. I mean,
right. It was, nothing close. It was just basically T.O.
Yeah. Poor Brian Westbrook almost got forgotten for a season.
Well, he literally became in 2004 after Owens hurt her like their best receiving weapon. And then in 2005, you could argue before T.O. got suspended, he was actually having a better year than 2004. People go look at the stats. It was amazing. Owens and Westbrook were that was the receiving tandem.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild. Absolutely crazy. history of this franchise when you break it down. But you know what? Devonta Smith now owns the record for most receptions by a wide receiver in a season, and there's a possibility he has even more this year. All that and more over at InsideTheBirds.com, the Inside the Birds podcast. Jeff Mosher joined us here on the Elite Acura Hotline. Follow him on Twitter at Jeff P. Mosher. He will be back next Monday to recap it all. Tomorrow, Andrew DeCecco will preview the preseason game, and then Adam Cap will recap it all on Friday right here on Football at 4. Jeff, great stuff today.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you.
And Football at 4 is brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games and Ocean Casino Resort. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win. For more info, visit theoceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Along with Ryan Rothstein, I am Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Just think about that, Ryan. The Eagles' history of receivers, it's literally just been one guy, one and a half guys, and now the Eagles have two of the best on the planet.
I agree with Mosher wholeheartedly. I think Devontae Smith has the ability to be the best receiver in the NFL. Not just top 5, the best receiver in the NFL. I don't care if he's 110 pounds. Okay. This dude has footwork like we've never seen. He can catch everything. He can go over the top. He's not afraid to go, through the middle. I almost think A.J. Brown holds him back a little bit just from an individual standpoint.
I mean, maybe. I was saying last week when I was talking about fantasy football, I was saying that I think that if you are in a PPR league, you draft Devontae Smith or you draft A.J. Brown because you know how many catches he's going to get.
Yeah, the guy across from him, or opposite side of him, I should say, scares you a little bit because you just don't know. I mean, we saw stretches last year, right, where it was A.J. Brown, 15 targets, 13 targets, 12 targets.
Maybe that's the next evolution of Jalen Hurts. He becomes a better distributor.
Yeah.
Think about, if you think Jalen Hurts is going to be better this year, I think he will. I think Jalen Hurts has more touchdown passes, more passing yards. I'm assuming part of that is he becomes more of a distributor.
I would love to see it. I want this offense to be dynamic. This offense can be like the greatest show on earth type of offense. We need to see him unleash it a little bit.
We're going to unleash the text board coming on next. A little bit more from here from you guys. 609-403-0973. He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig. He's at Wise Rye on Twitter. I'm at Josh Hennig on Twitter, where you can give us a follow. Hanging out with you on a Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
We have the perfect remedy for sitting in traffic. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Gary, I always talk about personal pride in keeping all my personal business off the internet. We all got these people, they want to put all their business out there every day on Facebook and Instagram. And they always start to post out like this. Now, y'all know I don't like putting my personal business out there. I go, no.
Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Heading into the bottom of the second inning, Phillies are down 1-0 after Wilmer Flores hit a home run for the Giants. Michael Lorenzen is on the mound for the Phillies. Eagles back in action tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Merrill Reese Mike Quick call all the action beginning at 8. For more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers, go to our website, 973ESPN.com, and make sure you download the 973 ESPN mobile app. Your forecast is next. Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are down 1-0 after Wilmer Flores hit a home run, giving the Giants a 1-0 lead as they head into the bottom of the second. Michael Lorenzen on the mound for the Phillies as they look for the third straight win against the San Francisco Giants. Phillies are off tomorrow when the Eagles play their final preseason game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Then Merrill Reese and Mike Quick are all the action starting at 8. Get more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers on our app. Your forecast is next. Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are down 1-0 after Wilmer Flores hit a home run, giving the Giants a 1-0 lead as they head into the bottom of the second. Michael Lorenzen on the mound for the Phillies as they look for the third straight win against the San Francisco Giants. Phillies are off tomorrow when the Eagles play their final preseason game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Then Merrill Reese and Mike Quick are all the action starting at 8. Get more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers on our app. Your forecast is next.
Factory store.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are down 1-0 after Wilmer Flores hit a home run, giving the Giants a 1-0 lead as they head into the bottom of the second. Michael Lorenzen on the mound for the Phillies as they look for the third straight win against the San Francisco Giants. Phillies are off tomorrow when the Eagles play their final preseason game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Then Merrill Reese and Mike Quick are all the action starting at 8. Get more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers on our app. Your forecast is next.
Go to Ocean Casino Resort this summer for our 5th birthday celebration. Go for the parties and the payouts. Go for the dining and the unwinding. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. Well, our weather's about to become more unsettled and more active with a chance of rain plugged into the forecast for each of the next 3 days at least. Mostly cloudy tonight with a chance of a shower. Still fairly comfortable, though, low 65. Tomorrow, best chance of rain will be early and late, becoming cloudy, breezy, and more humid, high 77. A few showers and thunderstorms Friday, warming up to 85. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
South Jersey business owners, when Eagles football returns to the airwaves this season, don't miss out. Make sure your business is a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on 97.3 ESPN. Touchdown! Every week, the NFL's most passionate fan base flocks to 97.3 ESPN radio to listen to their favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Advertising with the Eagles can help your business connect with the consumers you are trying to reach. 97.3 ESPN is the most listened to sports source in all of South Jersey. That's what makes 97.3 ESPN such a powerful station for your business's message. So this Eagles season, don't have your business sitting on the sidelines. Be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season on 97.3 ESPN. To be a part of the Eagles season, call Market President Mike Rupel at 609-910-5249.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Let's go. Get weird here. It's a Wednesday. We're gonna turn it up a notch. So put your seatbelts on if they're not already. Shame on you. Ryan Rothstein at Wise Ride, Josh Hennig at Josh Hennig on Twitter X.
I mean, I'm certainly not recommending people drive around with a seatbelt.
No, exactly. No, who said that? Don't put words in my mouth.
No, I was just saying you were saying I hope people are on. I'm like, what
No,
else
I'm
would I
saying I hope you already do have it on.
Right.
I said buckle up, but you should already be buckled up. Yeah. My mom and sister always freak out at me because, as soon as you get in the car nowadays, as soon as you start the car, it's just a beep, 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 to put your seatbelt on. But I'm just so all over the place. I don't hear the beeping right away. And they're just like, damn seatbelt, put it on, right? Come
Yeah,
on.
I have a whole system for putting the seatbelt on,
Of course
so it's
you
like
do.
I don't typically forget it.
What is your system to put a seatbelt on, Josh?
I mean, it's
Let me
pretty
put my
simple.
Mike Gill hat on. What is Josh's system to put a seatbelt on here?
It's pretty simple. When you sit down in the car and once you get yourself situated, before your hand goes on, turn from park to drive, the left hand comes across, put the seatbelt on as you're reaching for the shifter.
Okay. Yeah, it's a hell of a system. 609-403-0973. If you have any seatbelt systems you want to share with us here, that's what we do. As the Phillies and Lorenzen give up a hit, 1-0. San Francisco over your Philadelphia Phillies here in the top of the third, as we have one man on, no out. So we will keep you updated. We will react live to the Phillies as long as we are live on the airwaves until 6 p.m., Josh. We have text to get to.
Yeah, you mentioned the Phillies. I felt like we should get back to some of the texts we didn't get to earlier.
I like where your head's at.
In the show. We had earlier in the show, Paul from Rehoboth, Delaware, chiming in over at 609-403-0973. He says, baseball is a crazy game, Josh and Ryan. If Duvall catches that ball or even lets the ball go without a ricochet, we have a different conversation today. That was the biggest moment of Turner's Phillies career last night. You need these blooper wins to fall your way to make our way back to the World Series.
Of course you do. You need to get lucky. Right? In order to win a World Series, you have to get lucky. Bounces have to bounce your way. And last night we saw that. And unfortunately, that was the biggest moment of Trey Turner's Phillies career because he hasn't had many moments.
That's true.
I mean, how many moments do we have to pick from?
Not many.
My goodness. If I hear standing ovation one more time, although I will say this, I know Thompson said in an interview today that the standing ovation for Trey Turner was not only the biggest turning point and biggest moment for Trey Turner's season, it was the turning point and the biggest moment impact-wise for this entire Philadelphia Phillies team. Would you agree or would you disagree with that, Josh?
Well, if I could ask a question in return to that to you, do you think that was Thompson speaking like for the locker room, like his observation, or do you think that was Thompson's just personal perspective on it?
I don't know. I mean, Thompson's a hard fellow to read. He certainly has a strong poker face.
I don't think he's the kind of guy who makes stuff up, though.
No, he's not going to say something unless he really means it.
So I tend to believe him if he feels it's that big and that significant. I tend to believe him, at least like.
Yeah. Why would he lie about that, right?
Right. Well, I also feel like, maybe like in the locker room, like when he walks through the locker room on a random day, right?
Yeah.
And like maybe he feels like the vibe is different in there since that happened. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe for the month of August, things just feel differently than they were in July and June, kind of thing. Like even though they were hot as anything in June, but that was mostly the pitching staff in June. The pitching staff was actually better than the offense in June.
Yeah.
This month, it's been the offense more than even the pitching staff.
Yes.
So maybe for Thompson, he's like, hey, ever since that moment, maybe his verbalizing of it wasn't as articulate as it could have been. He doesn't talk for a living. It's our job,
right?
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
Some people are tired of hearing me talk. That's a different story.
Yeah, you're not in luck.
It's one of those deals where Thompson, maybe what he's trying to say is he's trying to say, look, you guys got to understand that when I walk through that locker room, guys have like their vibe is up, their energy is up. They're on a different level when it comes to how they feel about this every day, this grind.
Hey, listen, in any locker room, it's all about a rallying cry, and that cry could be heard in different ways. It could be media and fans telling one of your, telling one of the star players, you can't do this, you're not good enough, or this isn't your role, or why are you playing in this position? Or it could be an entire city rallying around and behind a star player that's struggling. And that was clearly felt and impacted the locker room. So as much as I poked fun about that at the time, I think it's still yet to be determined if that's the biggest moment. But
this is also like, athletes are weird, man. Like the things that get them up and going, the things that motivate them or get them energized, they're just different than the average person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's different for each athlete. I mean, some, they want the chalkboard stuff, the whiteboard motivation, if you will. Others don't really care. They don't need it. So, I think it depends. But the one thing I do know, this team has each other's backs. And that's another reason why I'm confident, as silly as it sounds, but it's one of the intangibles of this Phillies team. They're fun to watch. I think they're just as fun to watch as the 08 team. I really do.
I think the 08 team is an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
Because I think the 08 team, they didn't have an elite pitcher either.
Not even close.
Cole Hamels as you mentioned yesterday, he got hot in the postseason.
He got hot at the right time.
I think maybe like 13 wins on the year that season, something like that. Like,
yeah.
I have to look it up. I remember correctly. I think the guy who was the team win leader that year was like Jamie Moyer or something like that.
Before Cole Hamels and his dominant playoff run that year, was he as good of a pitcher as Aaron Nola? If you take away that playoff run of that Cole Hamels had, which is hard to do, but try and do it, try and play along.
Sure.
I mean, Aaron Nola, you can argue, is a better pitcher.
I think Aaron Nola has more of a career than Cole Hamels had at that point.
Right.
I believe Cole Hamels was about maybe like 5 years younger than Aaron Nola is, because Nola at this point is 30, turning 31.
Yeah.
If I remember Cole, I believe, I'm going to look it up real quick. I believe he was like 25, 26.
So he was still up and coming in a sense.
So I think that if you are looking at the difference between Hamels and Nola, and I'm pulling it up right now, Hamels was, sorry, I was a year off. He was 24 years old, not 25.
All right. Yeah, that's all the same thing.
What a jerk I am.
Yeah,
you're older.
You're a jerk regardless of this
But
conversation.
Hamels that year went 14-10 with a 3.09 ERA. So he was good. He was good.
He had a good year, but
he wasn't
we didn't expect
bonkers.
that. Yeah. I mean, he was MVP.
But he only had 3 years in his pocket of major league experience. Nola's got almost a decade at this point. So it's like, you could say, you look at 2008 team, they had stars. They had star hitters.
They
didn't have star pitchers.
No. And they had stars, and we all love the 2008 team for obvious reasons. But I look at this team right now, this team's better. And not only better, I think just from a literal standpoint.
You need to contextualize that.
Yeah. Like when I talk about fun to root for from a fan perspective, like Schwarber is our modern day Chase Utley in a sense. And I know you can't touch Chase Utley from the fan perspective, but Schwarber's similar to Utley. Harper's like, Ryan Howard. I mean, you have Trey Turner, you have the young guys in Alec Boehm and Stott, who we all have grown to love. JT Realmuto is, I think, comparable to Chooch from a fan perspective. I mean, this team, you can draw a ton of similarities to the 08 team. And the expectation is the exact same thing: win a World Series ring.
But the unique thing was in 2008, you didn't go into the season. This is where the biggest difference for me is. You didn't go to the season saying this team should compete for a World Series. Your mindset was you went to the postseason in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
We should do more in 2008.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until maybe, I don't know how it was for you in 2008, but it wasn't until maybe like August or September I started being like, I wonder how deep this team can go in the postseason. Whereas this team is coming off of a World Series loss.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the expectations are higher for this group.
Yes, agree.
Than it was in 2000. I think the difference for 2008, though, is that their path to victory was much more clear. Whereas this team, we're sitting here asking questions about, it's been a roller coaster season, who the starting pitcher is going to be. Well, the bullpen's better this year than it was last year. Whereas that team, it was bridge to Lidge, Howard, Utley, Rollins, Victorino, let's go. You know what I mean? Like that was like a different,
it was more set in stone. I get what you're saying. But to my point about pitching, Why did the Phillies win the World Series? Yeah, Lidge was quite literally perfect. Yes, you had the bridge to Lidge. Yes, you had Chooch in his role, played it perfectly. You had Shane Victorino in his role, playing it perfectly. Fun to watch. We all loved them, right? Like there was roles that were set, but the Phillies are not World Series champs if you didn't have Cole Hamels being the best pitcher on the planet for a 6-week stretch. So that's what this Phillies
And by the
team
way, he
needs.
had to be.
He had to be. That's my point. Like, even though those other roles were set in stone, who is going to be the Cole Hamels of this year's team?
And you're saying, what if it's Aaron Nola?
What if it is Aaron Nola? I know he has it in him to pull off a 4 to 6 week stretch of really good ball.
Another text to get over at 609-403-0973. We promised we would get to Derek the Diamondbacks fan. Okay.
Yeah. He's
so
fired
Derek
up.
the Diamondbacks fan, he has texted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times since we went off the air last night.
Wow.
Okay. To this afternoon. So I felt like, you know what? That's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of energy.
He
so
deserves a shout out.
Let's give him a little time.
Yeah.
Okay. And for those who don't know, this whole started yesterday when I said I'm still waiting for someone to tell me who is the team that should be the third best team in the National League instead of the Phillies. So Derek the Diamondbacks fan has stepped up, all right, for better or worse.
Yeah, for better or worse.
Okay, Derek chimes in, and I'm gonna kind of give you the Reader's Digest version. I'm gonna read every single point
from
he
back
makes.
to front. Yeah.
But he says the Diamondbacks spent a lot of money on their bullpen in the offseason to stop them from losing games in the 8th and 9th innings. Well, they just swept the Rangers, showing you guys who the Diamondbacks really are. Now the Diamondbacks will have a lock on the wild card spot, and they were not going to let it go. I told myself last night the Diamondbacks were going to show Josh what they really are. As Corbin Carroll had a tremendous game, and Zach Gallen proved again why he is a Cy Young front runner. And now they're going to get the Padres. They're going to light them up on the scoreboards. The Philadelphia who? With about 4 question marks. That's from Derek, the Diamondbacks fan. So, Ryan, you have any thoughts on Derek's passionate position about the Diamondbacks, that they're better than the Phillies?
Yeah, it seems like Derek had a happy hour Tuesday. Come on, man. What are we supposed to be scared about the Diamondbacks because of sweeping? Who did they sweep? The Rangers?
Well, the Rangers are really good.
I know, but come on.
Phillies couldn't beat the Rangers, remember?
Yeah, it means nothing to me, though. Respectfully, I mean, it means nothing to me. Listen, the D-backs are 66 and 61. They're 5 games over 500. The Phillies are 69 and 57 in a division that is featuring the Atlanta Braves, arguably the best team on the planet right now on August 23rd. You have a Marlins team that ain't easy to beat, a Mets team that's certainly underachieving, to put it nicely. But, I mean, you get my point. You get my point. The Phillies, I don't think they're the third best team. I think they can be the best team in the National League. I really do. And I know that's a homer alert type of a statement, but they have the potential to be the best team in the NL.
I think the problem with Derek was saying is that I think that because he's so obsessed with his team, he can't see the big picture. The big picture is this. No matter what fan of what team you are, generally you're not going to be a successful baseball team in the postseason if in the regular season you have a negative run differential.
Yeah, it's not a recipe for success.
The Diamondbacks have a -8 run differential this year. They have given up 605 runs as their pitching staff. The Phillies have given up 60 less runs as their pitching staff this year. The Phillies are a +51. Diamondbacks are a -8. So just on the surface, that's telling you right there, the Phillies are the better team because the Phillies are not being basically whipped as a pitching staff. The Phillies ERA as a team is 3.96, Ryan.
Okay.
Would you like to guess the Diamondbacks is?
4.96.
Close. It was 4.57.
Okay.
But you have the right idea. It's
Yeah.
worse than the Phillies.
Yeah.
The problem with the Diamondbacks is they lack the Phillies' talent depth.
They don't have the depth. They don't have. Listen, I mean, if we really want on this exercise, let's put up the lineups next to each other. Is the D-backs lineup instilling any type of fear into any of us?
No.
No, it's not. It's not, Derek. Listen, can the D-backs get hot? And maybe you're a prisoner of the moment because I see that the D-backs have won 8 of their last 10 games. I get it. And if they can ride that wave and continue to play good baseball into the month of October, then maybe we can have a different conversation at that time. But right now, I can't get on board with it, Josh. I just can't. Sorry, not sorry. But Derek, we appreciate you, my friend. 609-403-0973. Keep the text messages coming. You can redirect our conversation, add to it, debate it, ask Josh and I a question, whatever's on your mind, as the Phillies trail 2-0 in the bottom of the third. My guy Brandon Marsh is at the plate. Hopefully he can do something here. We'll keep you updated on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Summer's coming to a close, but the savings are just heating up at Elite Acura. Shop and save with unbelievable offers on our extensive selection of your favorite new Acuras, like a new 2023 Acura TLX base. Lease for just $365 a month for 48 months. That's right, just $365 a month. Or a new 2023 Acura MDX Super handling all-wheel drive. Lease for $599 a month for 36 months. Plus, purchase online and take delivery directly to your driveway with Acceleride, where your new Acura is just clicks away. And if you're looking to trade, Elite Acura has you covered. We'll pay nothing short of top dollar for your trade-in. And we buy all makes and models. Getting behind the wheel of your next Acura has never been easier. Save big on your new Acura TLX or MDX today during the Summer of Performance event. Visit Elite Acura on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, or shop our entire inventory online anytime at EliteAcura.com. Call 567-908-0528 for offer details.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. We're the health plan you know with a new name and look. If you're a member, nothing is changing. You have the same benefits and services and can continue to see the doctors you trust in our New Jersey network. And if you need health insurance, count on us for quality, affordable coverage. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. Call 1-888-453-2534, TTY 711, or visit fideliscarenj.com.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321-321. That's ROCK to 321-321.
Summertime, baseball and golf season are in full swing, plus so much more. BetParks is an official betting operator of the PGA Tour. It's a great time of year. Plus, the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app follows you to the shore and the mountains. Get in on the action all summer long, whether you're on the beach, the boat, or the boardwalk. Bet while you're on the lake and the Poconos. BetParks has you covered. It's all right in the palm of your hand. Odds, bets, slots, and games. Download the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app right now. Check out live in-game betting, same-game parlays, teasers, and more. Bet more than the score. Bet player performances. Bet hits, home runs, and strikeouts in baseball. All new users bet $10 and get $125 in Sportsbook bonus if your first bet wins. Get in on the action all summer long. BetParks has you covered. BetParks.com has terms and conditions. New users and winning bets only. Sports bonus bet must be wagered once. See website for details. Must be 21 in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Our locally owned and operated small businesses are the heartbeat of our community, and the 97.3 ESPN South Jersey Industry Aces stand out as leaders in their fields, like Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield. Men, let Tomorrow's Wellness Center help you rise to the occasion. Visit tomorrowswellnesscenter.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, wrapping up the 4 o'clock hour, Josh Hennig and Ryan Rothstein, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get to more of your texts on the other side, 609-403-0973. Plus, still to come, Dave Weinberg joins us for a Weinberg Wednesday. Of course, Dave Weinberg usually joins me in the 6 o'clock hour for game night, but he's moving up an hour to join us here on the Sports Bash. We'll get into some Eagles and Phillies with Dave, as we always do. And we'll keep you updated on the Phillies as they are down 2-0 right now to the Giants. As of right now, Alex Cobb is having his way with the Phillies bats, but we'll get into more of the Phillies, Eagles, and more. Plus, I still need to hear Ryan's list of shows and movies he needs to watch for the end of the summer. I'm Josh Hennig. He's Ryan Rothstein. We got more coming up next.
It's Notre Dame football on 97.3 ESPN.
Hi, Notre Dame fans. Football season is back. This is Tony Simeone. Join me, Paul Burmeister, and Super Bowl champion Ryan Harris this Saturday as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish open their season against the Navy Midshipmen, and you can tune in right here on your home for Notre Dame football.
It's Notre Dame football on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's football station. Coverage begins at 2 p.m.
Sail into summer in New Jersey, where sea breezes drift along iconic sunny shores. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Take time out to breathe in the great outdoors. Treat yourself, shop, dine, dive into history, the arts, and culture. From dazzling winning cities to charming towns in the countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
3 little words no parent wants to hear.
My tummy hurts.
And it always seems to happen at the worst times. Like in the middle of the morning rush, when you still have homework to check and lunches to pack, and of course, you're already late for work. Luckily, there's Pepto Kids. New Pepto Kids gummies helps relieve occasional stomach upsets, turning those 3 words into these 3 words.
I feel better.
Bad time for stomach upsets? Good time for new Pepto Kids gummies. Fast support for little tummies.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Summer is ending, but the savings are endless at Bob's Discount Furniture. And this Labor Day weekend, I'm throwing a summer send-off celebration with 6, 12, 30, and 60-month financing options and new everyday low prices and highly rated living rooms, best-selling bedrooms, stylish dining sets, and of course, my world-famous Bobapedic mattresses. Subject to credit approval, go to mybobs.com for details. Plus, entertainment and yummy treats for the kiddos. So join the fun at my summer send-off celebration this Labor Day weekend in all my stores.
16 enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321321. That's ROCK to 321321.
Summertime, baseball and golf season are in full swing, plus so much more. BetParks is an official betting operator of the PGA Tour. It's a great time of year. Plus, the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app follows you to the shore and the mountains. Get in on the action all summer long, whether you're on the beach, the boat, or the boardwalk. Bet while you're on the lake and the Poconos. BetParks has you covered. It's all right in the palm of your hand. Odds, bets, slots, and games. Download the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app right now. Check out live in-game betting, same-game parlays, teasers, and more. Bet more than the score. Bet player performances. Bet hits, home runs, and strikeouts in baseball. All new users bet $10 and get $125 in Sportsbook bonus if your first bet wins. Get in on the action all summer long. BetParks has you covered. BetParks.com has terms and conditions. New users and winning bets only. Sports bonus bet must be wagered once. See website for details. Must be 21 in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Dell Technologies Back to School event is on, with deals on top tech for class, hobbies, and more. Now, when you buy, you support a cause. With every eligible purchase, Dell will donate to UNICEF in support of GIGA, a UNICEF ITU global initiative to connect schools across the globe to the internet. Accidental damage protection included. Get rare deals on select laptops and desktops powered by the latest Intel Core processors. Save now at Dell.com/deals. UNICEF does not endorse any company, brand, product, or service.
We are here with Dr. Scott Hernberg, Medical Director and founder of Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield, one of our 97.3 ESPN industry aces. Dr. Hernberg, tell us about Tomorrow's Wellness Center.
We offer the most advanced technology and evidence-based practices in a holistic and integrative manner to provide optimal health and wellness. We strive passionately to make folks look and feel their best.
You treat ED. How common is ED?
Erectile dysfunction, common disorder, particularly as men begin to age. Typically, about 40% of men experience some form of erectile dysfunction.
And what does Tomorrow's Wellness Center do for ED?
We use a protocol called the Gainswave therapy. What this therapy involves is low-intensity shock waves that are essentially sound waves. It's natural, essentially painless procedure used to improve the blood flow as well as to improve the sensitivity.
Dr. Scott Hernberg from Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield. You can find out more at tomorrowswellnesscenter.com.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Yeah, buddy, let's go. 5 p.m. And we turn it up a notch here on the Sports Bash. Welcome back, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages. That's right. It's the circus. Ryan Rothstein and Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill, who's up at the Little League World Series. But who cares about him? It's all about us, Ryan and Josh. And it's all about you out there, 609-403-0973. Hit us up on the text board. 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., my favorite time of the show. So let's have some fun. We'll get to your text messages in just a bit. Keep them coming, whether you want to talk Phillies, who, by the way, Lorenzen just gave up a bomb. Had to put his glove up to his mouth for some expletives.
There you go.
Nailed it. 4-0. Phillies trail the San Francisco Giants. But, hey, it's all right because you already won the first two games, so you win the series. Obviously, you'd like to see them perform well today, but hey, maybe there's a little bit magic left in the bats, Josh, for a comeback still relatively early in this Phillies game against those Gabe Kapler Giants. All right, so a lot for us to work in here. We still have Dave Weinberg joining us in about 25, 30 minutes from now. You're not going to miss that conversation as he gets bumped up to the 5 p.m. hour. Let's get some of these text board messages, Josh. And I'll start with one that is addressed to me. And maybe not so nice, but I did get a chuckle out of this one. It says, Ryan, the only way the Phillies can be the best team in the NL is if Atlanta moves to the AL. Listen, man, I would like you to leave your name nameless, but nonetheless appreciate listening and joining the conversation. I get it, but I'm not talking about regular season. All right, this isn't the Premier League. If we're giving out regular season record awards, then yeah, you're right, my friend. You're right. But you were also right if we copy and paste that statement and put it into last year You're right. Atlanta was head and shoulders better than the Philadelphia Phillies last year during the regular season. And what happened in the playoffs? The Phillies whooped that you-know-what. So who cares? Who cares? Right? We joke about this final preseason game tomorrow for the Philadelphia Eagles being meaningless. And I'm not going to get too out of control here with this next statement, but this baseball season is comparably meaningless, right? This is just one big prep for a hopeful deep playoff run. And if the Phillies can get things going at the right time, then my point is they can be the best team in the NL, Josh.
I think the problem is that I think a lot of people, they look at baseball and they forget that it's a very long season. And you can't derive everything from 1 or 2 or 3 games. I always look at it like this. To me, sports like baseball, basketball, the season gives you an idea of who you can be. And I think during the season, we have found what the Phillies can be is one of the best teams in baseball. And the best team doesn't always win the World Series. The team with the best regular season. Most of the time they don't. Right. Usually the team with the best regular season doesn't win the World Series.
Yep.
So now I'm not saying that I'm going to sit here and say the Braves can't win the World Series because I think that their offense is so dynamic and phenomenal. And, you know, I can totally see them just running that offense to a World Series. But what I think you're saying, Ryan, and you, if I'm putting words in your mouth, you can correct me. I think what you're saying is that you feel like the Phillies, the talent they have, if they play up to what they can play as Dave Dombrowski says, the back of their baseball card,
right?
That they're just as good as anybody else. And as Dombrowski says, you know, Dombrowski said on the Starkville podcast, I like our team in a playoff series.
Yes. I love our team. I wouldn't trade my team with anyone else's. Like that statement alone, let me say it again. I would not trade this Phillies roster with any other team's roster in Major League Baseball, NL or AL. And it's not just because I'm a diehard fan and I love this team and I've grown to love them. Like, yeah, that's always true. But there's plenty of seasons where I'll say, dude, this team stinks on ice. Give me that Atlanta roster. Give me that Dodgers roster. That's not how I feel right now. I'll take my guys 10 out of 10 times right now. That's how I feel about this team. So I for any Phillies fan out there that's sitting here looking at this team, watching these games, saying, I just don't know. Well, you need to learn. You need to educate yourself because this team can very well be the best team in the National League, if not all of Major League Baseball. And they've shown us that, not just this year, but they showed us last year what they can do to get themselves to a World Series.
And again, I don't think anyone, us or anyone, is saying that they are going to necessarily do it. But what we're saying is as of August 23rd, we've been given no evidence to say they can't do it. And I think that is the that's why, you know, I always tell people, Brian, because I've worked with Mike Gill long enough that I kind of understand his isms, right? You know, Mike Gill always says, you know, it's a Tuesday night in February for the NBA season, or in baseball, it's a Tuesday night in June, right?
Yep.
And what I always tell people is, people always ask me, like, what does Mike mean by that? Like, Mike's not saying that literally the game on Tuesday, February doesn't matter. He's not saying in a literal sense. It's the idea that the game in February is not the reason why you win or lose a championship.
It's not the be-all, end-all. It's not the answer to all of your hopes and dreams, for better or worse.
But, like, for example, if the Phillies who are down 4-0 right now lose this game today, this game will not matter if they win or lose a World Series.
No, because they had a successful series against this team. They took 2 of 3 against the team. So this is a success. This game is borderline meaningless right now.
Right. And that's why we're trying to explain that, you know, the Phillies' success this year has shown you they're capable of being a championship team.
Right.
Now, of course, they have to play to that level. You know, you get into it. Let's say it's not the Braves. Let's say it's the Dodgers. Okay. Let's say it's whatever team. If the Padres get a hot run and go to the playoffs. Well, the Padres got Blake Snell and Yu Darvish. If Blake Snell and Yu Darvish go out there and have 2 amazing games,
you're
down 2-0 in a series, right? Yeah. So, you know, any team can get hot. What we're saying is we'll take our team getting hot over somebody else's team getting hot.
Every time right now. Every time I'm picking our squad. I really am. And you know what? In baseball, like the intangibles matter as far as clubhouse chemistry and just like a guy like
for as
Brand-
much as you hate that word.
Yeah, I do hate it, but I'll use it. Right? Like, one of my good friends says, man, I love Brandon Marsh because of just what he brings to the clubhouse, to the dugout, to that lineup. Right? Like Rojas is a better outfielder. But what Brandon Marsh can do at the plate and what he can do as far as just giving this team a jolt when they need it.
He's got a little Aaron Rowan in him.
Yeah, he just has he has a little bit of a Shane Victorino in him too.
Yeah.
Just like he just seems like he's the right guy to have in the bottom of your lineup out in the field when you need to win one game when the lights are their brightest.
Yep.
So, your thoughts, 609-403-0973, as Harper looks like he may have done something there to his hand after he gets a single. 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. Giants still lead 4-0 over your Fightins. See if they can fight back in this game, Josh. Still plenty of time.
Yeah, this is a little weird looking. I'm not gonna try to read too much into this, but I mean,
No, it doesn't look great.
For 1 minute, he looked fine, and then he comes over and he's like, grabbing.
When you have 3 guys around you, one of them being your manager, it's not the best sign in the world. But don't read into what I'm saying literally here. I don't know, but it doesn't look great, Josh.
I mean, I would say just be careful if he's that. Here we get a replay here. Okay, so he comes around the base, and he comes up slow, and he walks back to the base.
Fine.
And
I don't even know what happened there.
I have no idea.
Looks like he's staying in the game at the moment, so
I
that's
have
a good
no
sign.
stinking idea. This is so confusing. But folks, we're sitting here in the studio. We're trying to talk on a sports talk show. And they're having a super long conversation with Harper before he puts his armor on his arm. Like, I have no idea what that was about. Now the umpire's even asking him what's going on.
What's going on here? I think a fan from Section 204 is coming down to join the huddle. No, it looks like he's staying in the game. So
that was a waste of our time.
Yeah, we'll eliminate our overreactions there as Cassie steps up looking to keep this inning alive. All right, so we'll continue to talk some Phillies, but Josh, do you want to switch gears for a second and talk some foosball?
I love football.
All right, let's do
Football's
it.
number one sport, man.
All right.
But I have a tiny bit of Eagles news that just broke for you.
Oh, okay, let's get it.
The Eagles are cutting Fred Johnson 24 hours for their final preseason game.
All right.
Now,
Freddie
the reason
J.
why that's significant for those who don't know, people are like, well, why do I care? Well, you should care because, one, that means you might be asking guys like Tyler Steen and Jack Driscoll to play more tomorrow night than you would have otherwise, because Johnson was one of the tackles. And 2, Johnson was on track to potentially make this team. He was on track to be one of your backup offensive linemen.
So I wonder if that's a little bit of a sign or a little bit of a tell that the Eagles are looking to keep someone elsewhere on the depth chart that maybe we initially didn't think.
It's very possible
they were going to keep. So
see, it's a little, stick that in your back pocket for maybe later.
Yeah, you can pull that out later, and we can analyze that. But we'll get to your text messages, and as we switch gears to the Eagles after some news that Josh just shares with you, 609-403-0973. Let's get back to the text board, the old texty here. Sup, fellas? LOL. Who is your random sleeper team in the NFL this season that makes the playoffs and could steal a wild card game in the playoffs? I got the Falcons in the NFC with those new weapons. That's our guy, Joey D in Ventnor City. Ryan, what up? Joey D, you're the man. We always appreciate you listening and joining the conversation. So, Josh, you start. You can answer Joey's question first, and then I'll react.
Well, I would ask, do the Bucks count as a sleeper team? Because we mentioned the Bucks earlier as a team that we both like.
I think any team right now in the NFC, not named the Eagles or the Niners, and I guess the Lions, although I am not on that hype train as much as I love Dan Campbell, would qualify as an answer.
All right, so I would say the Bucks because the Bucks have so much talent. People forget that last year that team was just decimated by injuries. So I would say I would take the Bucks over the Falcons. I think the problem I have with the Falcons, Ryan, is that I still think that their team is lacking something. I feel like they're still missing one more receiver or one more pass rusher or, one more lockdown corner or something like that. I think that's why I feel like the Bucks are a team that was just in the postseason multiple years with Tom Brady, but last year they fell apart because the offensive line was back to like the third stringers because of injuries, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin just kept getting banged up. I should know. I had Mike Evans on my fantasy team. That was a huge, blow up for me last year. So, if I'm going to go to AFC, so I went Bucks for the NFC.
Okay, you're going both. I don't hate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, why not?
Why not?
You asked me a question. I answered the way I want to.
Well, Joey D in VC asked you a question.
Yeah,
But nonetheless.
Joey D asked a question. I want to give him a real legitimate answer.
Damn right you do. Go ahead.
So in the AFC, if I have to go to a sleeper team in the AFC, and I don't even know if this counts as a sleeper team, but there's a part of me that looks, because I know everyone's talking about, the AFC East, right? And everyone's talking about, they're the best conference, but we're not talking enough about the AFC North, in my opinion. There is a strong possibility that the Browns don't play as well as we think they are this year. And the team that might benefit from that, because Ryan, if you're right that Lamar Jackson is not, all he's cracked up to be, and if Deshaun Watson is legitimately not as good as he once was, you're telling me the Steelers can't sneak in there?
The Steelers were going to be my AFC team.
Because Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season.
Yeah.
That defense, if it stays healthy, is as good as the 49ers defense, arguably, with the talent that they have.
Yep.
And all I need is Kenny Pickett to not lose me games. I'm not asking him to win me games. I'm just asking him to not lose me games.
Josh, let me just interrupt for a second. I agree with you, but I believe Kenny Pickett has the potential to not only just do that, I think Kenny Pickett can be one of those guys that can win you games, not just not lose you games. I think there's potential for Kenny Pickett.
Well, I'm trying to set the bar a little lower for him.
I get it.
For this year.
And I agree with you.
Maybe he's that guy in like 2 years from now.
Right, but we could see flashes of it this year where he's just not losing them games, and you sprinkle in 2 to 4 games that he helps win them.
Yeah, because I just feel like that team is built for success. You know what I mean?
They always are.
And I just think that last year, it was a year of transition. They had a couple of unnecessary injuries like TJ Watt and guys like that.
Yeah.
But, it's year 2 for Pickett and Pickens. Say that 3 times fast. I can't.
No thanks.
George Pickens is a very talented receiver out of Georgia. And there's a reason why they traded away Chase Claypool last year. Yeah. They got rid of Claypool because they realized that, this kid Pickens and the other guys they have on this team, they're really good. They got some good receivers on this team. And again, I don't need Najee Harris to be Josh Jacobs. I just need him to be Najee Harris.
Yeah, Najee.
So, to me, I think the Steelers are my AFC team and the Bucks are my NFC team.
All right. I like it a lot. For my NFC team, I'm staying in the division, and I'm not going up north to New York. Well, Jersey, but
Jersey?
I'm not going to say the Giants. I'm going to say Washington, Josh.
Okay.
I like Sam Howell. I do. And the verdict is obviously out on him. I'm not sitting here saying he's a top 10 quarterback. But once again, what did you say about Kenny Pickett? Can Sam Howell not lose Washington any football games and maybe win them a game or two?
It's certainly possible.
And Washington's defense has a hell of a lot of potential sitting over there on that side of the ball. Can Chase Young show us versions of the Chase Young rookie year? Right? Like, those are 2 key questions. What do they have at quarterback? And can their defense be anchored by Chase Young? If those answers are positive and yes, Washington can certainly get into the playoffs as a wild card team and certainly, win a game. I would not be surprised by that in the slightest. Now, going to the AFC, I want to say Jacksonville because you took my answer for Pittsburgh.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I don't know how much of a sleeper Jacksonville really is, but I will throw them out there. And I'll throw another one out there. How about the New England Patriots?
That's an interesting one.
How about the New England Patriots who went 8-9 last year, but they had a plus 17 point differential last year. They lost a lot of close games, as do many NFL teams. But my point there is there's not a whole lot of a mess to clean up. You still have Bill Belichick. You bring back Bill O'Brien as offensive coordinator. Maybe Mac Jones has a little bit of a redemption type of season, and they don't need to do a whole heck of a lot differently to maybe move that record from 8-9 to 10-7. They can really still be the same exact team as last year and end up with a 10-7 record. So that's a sleeper team that I think a lot of people are just overlooking as, well, Mac Jones sucks. Bill Belichick's not the same. That division's tough. And I agree with all of it to a certain level. But, yeah, I'm going to go the Patriots. I think they're a team that can easily win 10 games.
For me, I think the Patriots are interesting because I look at, personally, Mac Jones as a guy who was a byproduct of a bad situation last year. And to me, I think that having Matt Patricia in your ear is not the same as Bill O'Brien for a quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's a fact.
And I think that if we all can agree on that, I think we all can agree that Mac Jones will be better just by the nature of not having an idiot in his ear for 17 weeks who he has to argue with about how to run an offense.
Mm-hmm.
Look, whether you like Mac Jones or not, the truth is that he won a Heisman Trophy at Alabama. He's the first quarterback to ever do that, Ryan. There's never been a quarterback in Alabama history.
It's crazy.
That ever won a Heisman.
Yeah.
So the guy is not dumb. All right.
No, he's not a slouch.
So to me, I look at Mac Jones. I say, give him a real coordinator, give him a real chance. And you know what? Zeke Elliott might turn out to be a lot better people realize, because the last time Zeke Elliott had legitimate structure in a football environment was Ohio State with the tyrant Urban Meyer. And Belichick is a better football coach than Urban Meyer is. You don't think Bill Belichick might not be able to pull something out of Zeke a little bit?
I know he can. So
there you go.
Zeke, I'm not saying rush for 1,400 yards, but can Zeke rush for 800 to 900?
Belichick already has Zeke. Zeke got a haircut. He's not wearing 20 rings on his face anymore.
Insight. He got a haircut, people.
He's not wearing the belly shirts anymore. Right. He looks like a respectable football player right now. That's the Belichick influence. Zeke Elliott showed up at Patriots camp and looks like a professional now instead of looking like a wild child down in Dallas.
Yep.
That might have an impact on the guy. I'm just saying.
Sometimes all you need is a haircut. I wouldn't know. But hey. 403-0973. Ryan and Josh hanging out with you on Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash, filling in for MG here. We got you until 6 p.m., as we always do. We take a quick time out, keep the text messages coming. We'll have some fun with you here while we're still on the air. The Phillies are live. They trail 4-0. Dave Weinberg will join us when we come back from the break. We'll have some fun with Dave, talk some birds, talk some Jalen Hurts, and get Dave's outlook on the upcoming NFL season. Just one more preseason game to go. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
There's only one place for live sports and sports talk in South Jersey. Oh, yeah! Your sports station is 97.3 ESPN.
Your Palace awaits. Caesars Palace Online Casino is now live. Download today and register using code RADIOLAUNCH. New users get a $10 sign-up bonus, a 100% deposit match up to $1,000, and 2,500 reward credits after wagering $25.
Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are down 4-0 heading into the bottom of the fifth inning as Alex Cobb continues to baffle the Phillies lineup after winning 2 straight against the Giants. Phillies are off tomorrow when the Eagles have their final preseason game, which you can hear right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Then Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call all the action of the final Eagles preseason game of the 2023 NFL preseason. More Eagles, Phillies, and Flyers. When you download our app, your forecast is next. Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are down 4-0 heading into the bottom of the fifth inning as Alex Cobb continues to baffle the Phillies lineup after winning 2 straight against the Giants. Phillies are off tomorrow when the Eagles have their final preseason game, which you can hear right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Then Mel Reese and Mike Quick call all the action of the final Eagles preseason game of the 2023 NFL preseason. Get more Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers when you download our app. Your forecast is next.
ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are down 4-0 heading into the bottom of the fifth inning as Alex Cobb continues to baffle the Phillies lineup after winning 2 straight against the Giants. Phillies are off tomorrow when the Eagles have their final preseason game, which you can hear right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Then Mel Reese and Mike Quick call all the action of the final Eagles preseason game of the 2023 NFL preseason. Get more Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers when you download our app. Your forecast is next.
Atlantic City is your place for really fun, really cool times this summer. Live it up with a true original. Enter to win an authentic AC getaway at AtlanticCityNJ.com.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. Well, our weather's about to become more unsettled and more active with a chance of rain plugged into the forecast for each of the next 3 days at least. Mostly cloudy tonight with a chance of a shower. Still fairly comfortable, though, low 65. Tomorrow, best chance of rain will be early and late, becoming cloudy, breezy, and more humid, high 77. A few showers and thunderstorms Friday, warming up to 85. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Hi, honey. Happy first day back at work. Can't wait to see you tonight. We are so proud of you.
Daddy, love you.
There are many reasons to start recovery. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, we are here to help. Call us. Our trained counselors are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help. Your recovery is within reach. Call 844-REACH-NJ to learn about medication that can support your recovery. A message from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Approaching 4:30 here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Castiel, along with Ryan Rothstein, I'm Josh Hennig, and as promised, joining us an hour earlier than usual since I'm on the Sports Bash. He agreed to join us. He's got to keep the tradition alive, Ryan. We can't just,
It's a tradition unlike any other.
Yeah, unlike the Thanksgiving Day games that have all been kicked to the curb. Ocean City and Pleasantville are playing this weekend, Ryan.
Yes,
They used to be one of the oldest Thanksgiving Day games. So we're going to try to keep at least one tradition alive, and he wrote about that and more in his extra point column over at 97.3 ESPN.com. It's Dave Weinberg joining us on a Weinberg Wednesday on the Elite Acura Hotline on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome in. How's your day going?
Doing well. I'm actually in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and just went up for a little R&R with the family, but I can't miss talking to you guys.
Look at this guy. Wait, I have to interrupt this.
Yeah.
Here. So, we're on the radio, obviously, but we have the stream up. and he enters this stream with just a beach and an ocean behind him, sunglasses on. I mean, Rough Life Weinberg is the new nickname. My goodness.
Yeah. Retirement does not suck. I'll tell you. I'll say that.
No, it certainly doesn't for you, at least, Dave. Well, Dave, I want to start with this because you did write about it over on your Extra Point column, and I want to hit on with you here because me and Ryan during the break were talking about the Battle by the Beach this weekend, the high school classic that's going to have all those games, right? And you wrote about how these Thanksgiving Day games are all gone basically now because of this ridiculous playoff schedule with the state. And it's like, for as exciting as this weekend will be, and I'll be down there, so as well a lot of people watching these games. But Dave, we're not supposed to have high school football before Labor Day.
Yeah, I mean this is like they're playing 2 games before they play they go to their first class, and it's just stupid to me. Football's not a summer sport. The regular season ends October 20th. How does it end before Halloween? It just that boggles my mind. And like you said, there's some rivalries that are still intact. Vineland, Millville will still be there. Holy Spirit, Atlantic City, at least for the time being. But yeah, you're Pleasantville and Ocean City. You're playing this weekend. Middle and lower, the Anchor Bowl. They moved to September last year. They're not even playing this year because of this. It's just the whole thing's just ludicrous to me. I don't understand why it happened. I mean, it's the North Jersey Powers. They won a state championship, so they always seem to get their way with the NJSIAA. So, and everybody else has to suffer, I guess. I hate to sound old, but
no, you don't sound old because me and Ryan are both younger than you. We're complaining about the same thing. So if you're sounding old, what do we sound like?
Okay, that makes me feel better then. Okay.
I mean,
not
for
old,
me,
old man not yelling at cloud. Okay.
Yeah, you're not yelling at a cloud. You're yelling at a bunch of bureaucrats. That's what you're yelling at.
Yeah. I mean, I understand you won a state championship. Okay, I got it. But just you don't need. First off, you don't need every team in the freaking state to be in the playoffs. You're gonna have it get 8 versus 1 or 16 versus 1. Then one seed's gonna win by 50-0. What's the point of that? I mean, the lower seed has no chance of winning this. So why are they even bothering with it?
I mean, to me, why don't they just, like in basketball, you said the tournament of champions, right? The winner of every group then plays each other. Why couldn't they just do that for New Jersey for football? That's what my question always was.
True, but until like last year though, they didn't even have that. They didn't have group champions. So I guess this is the way of doing. You have to crown a state champion. So you're sacrificing Thanksgiving rivalries for the sake of 12 schools, I guess. 5 public school, 5 or 10 public schools, and 4 parochial, so 14. So it makes sense. There's like 300 schools in New Jersey to play football, and their season is ending October. I don't know, like November 3rd, I guess. And it's not
October 20th. Yeah.
Right. But then, I mean, everybody has like a consolation game or something.
Oh, right. Yeah. The good old consolation game that everyone gets excited about,
And they're free to play Thanksgiving games if they want to, but it's not fair to ask a kid to wait 3 weeks before he plays one game. Meanwhile, their season's basically over. They're already focused on basketball, swimming, wrestling, what have you. I mean, I think the whole thing needs to be revamped or revised some sort of way.
Yeah, I love the Thanksgiving Day traditions. I mean, being a part of the AC Spirit one, it's just obviously that's one of the better ones and one of the more just enriched tradition type of a rivalry. But it doesn't mean that other schools cannot build that and have that same type of thing. And we have a heck of an event coming up this weekend that I'll be a part of as well. But like, you need to figure out a way to keep the Thanksgiving tradition alive because these kids don't even realize what they're missing out on. It's getting eliminated before they even get entrenched with it.
Right. I mean, the argument is, the kids don't really care about it. Students don't really care about it. But you're talking about generations of alumni that that's their big deal is to go there on Thanksgiving morning and watch their school play. Families get together, former players get together. It's just it's a big deal, and you just can't throw that by the wayside for the sake of the state championship. I don't think.
No, we're all on the same page, Dave.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're talking with Dave Weinberg at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. Let's transition to the adults in the room, not me or Josh, but the Philadelphia the Philadelphia Eagles. Just your thoughts. First time I'm getting the chance to catch up to you, and I always enjoy doing so, Dave. But
same here. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this upcoming season? You can sort of take the reins here. Jalen Hurts, new coordinators. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, especially with the defense, with Sean Deshae being the coordinator. I mean, I know Jonathan Gannon got a lot of heat, but they still had one of the about top defenses in the league, and there's going to be a period of adjustment, I think, for a new system, new scheme, new personnel in a lot of key areas. So, I don't think they're going to just come out of the gate and just steamroll people, but I do think they're the favorites in the NFC East. I know a lot of people are banking on the Cowboys, but they have yet to prove that they can handle that kind of pressure. So I'm not even really considering them, to be honest with you. So I think it's still the Eagles division to lose. Getting back to the Super Bowl, as you guys know, it's really tough to do that 2 years in a row. I mean, they certainly have the talent, but there's so many intangibles that can creep up as far as injuries, that kind of stuff. So I'm not ready to anoint them as going back to the Super Bowl, but I do think they'll have a very good year.
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave, because, I think part of what plays into the Eagles' favor is less about, them than it is about what's around them. It's the fact that there's really only two other teams in the conference that people can really put their finger on and say are really good, really competitive championship caliber rosters. And I think for the Eagles, their greatest benefit is, one, their environment, and two, continuity. The fact that basically, aside from five guys, most of the team is back and ready to go for this year.
Yeah. They're used to playing with each other. You got Jalen Hurts making tremendous strides, so he's already an elite quarterback, and I expect him just to continue to grow. There are some holes to fill, right guard being one of them, which I don't think that can't be overlooked. I mean, that was losing Isaac Seumalo was a kind of a significant loss for them, I think. I mean, as we've talked about before, Josh, you got Cam Jurgens and you got Steen, who might be able to beat him out. It looks like it's Jurgens' job for the time being, but it's going to take time for those guys to gel a little bit, I think. And defense, it seems like they're starting to get together, starting to come together. But again, like I said, with the new coordinator, it's going to take them a little time to get on the same page, I think.
Dave, one of the biggest differences from when you covered the Eagles day in and day out for almost 30 years to what they is now.
The big difference is they have face masks on their helmets now. That's what
I was going to go with, but
leather helmets.
It is the fact that they do the massive cut after the final preseason. They don't do the gradual cut down like they used to.
Right.
And so, you get something over the weekend, like, for example, the Eagles, Howie Roseman has a field day. Howie Roseman is love for transactions, right? He throws, cuts these guys, signed these guys on a Saturday morning. And it's like they're now, going into this final preseason game with a bunch of randos. And so talk to us about, for you, when you look at the, the difference between, the gradual cut down to the one massive cut down now for a team like the Eagles, like for you, how do you look at it?
It's kind of tough because you're going to have like a bunch of guys available all at once. So that's going to make it really difficult for other teams to pour over the waiver wire and see what's available and what kind of fit they have for a guy, possibly whether it's back of the roster or special teams or something like that. And it's tough for the players too, because now all of a sudden they're unemployed. They've put out some film there, so they're hopefully other teams have seen. If they don't come back to the Eagles practice squad, then maybe there's another team out there that'll see it and catch on. But like I said, there's going to be so many players available. I think it's going to take some time for GMs and personnel guys to wade through all that.
What's your thoughts on Nick Sirianni heading into this season, Dave? Because this is a guy that replaces a Super Bowl champion winning head coach in Doug Peterson, sort of a weird exit, to put it nicely, I guess. And now he takes his team to the Super Bowl relatively unexpectedly last year, but with all of our focus on the talented roster, on Jalen Hurts, on new coordinators, Nick Sirianni certainly has a lot on his plate for a young head coach in this league.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the year where you find out if he's really worth it or not, if he's the answer as far as head coaching goes. I mean, last year, granted, they had tremendous success, but I think you or I could have coached that team last year and at least made it to the NFC Championship game. They just had so much talent and so much on both sides of the ball. And as Josh probably knows, I'm not the biggest Nick Sirianni guy, mainly because I was such a big fan of Doug Peterson, and I'm glad to see him doing well in Jacksonville. I don't know. I just don't. I'm tired of the Mount Union, the home body, old school, folksy. I'm playing one-on-one with them in the auditorium, and I mean, I'm playing rock, paper, scissors to gauge their competitiveness. But I can't fault him. I mean, he had a tremendous year last year, but I think this is the year where you really find out what you got there.
Well, it's a great example, Dave, of how, a person's quirks and personality is less important than what they actually do on game day. It's like,
True.
some of the guys who we think are quote unquote football guys, like for years, every Eagle fan was in love with Buddy Ryan. It's like, well, Buddy Ryan never won a playoff game, but Buddy Ryan sounded like the guy you wanted to have a beer with and watch football with. Right. And so Sirianni, we give the side on him like, dude, what are you talking about? Like he just goes on these random rants. Like he'll tell you like, ask him a question. He says no, but then his explanation is, let me tell you about my dad. And it's like, nobody cares about who your dad is. Nobody cares except for Nick Sirianni. But yet he gets the team to the Super Bowl and Buddy Ryan couldn't win a playoff game. So it's like, it's just an amazing example of like how sometimes being the weird, quirky person, it just doesn't matter for winning and losing.
Well, especially in Philly, if you win, nobody cares. I mean, they're going to support you, 100%. That's just the way Philly fans are wired, whether it's the Eagles, Phillies, or what have you. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure fans find that stuff endearing now that they got to the Super Bowl. If he goes, 6-11 this year, I don't think they'll find it, quite as cute. So we'll have to see what happens, I guess.
Dave, before I let you go, I asked Ryan this question. I want to throw it to you, a version of it, and that is, this summer, obviously, we're winding down. We're getting ready for the start of football, right? And we're all going to be focused on football.
Right.
So was there something that Dave Weinberg watched this summer that you glad you were able to watch, like on streaming or whatever, that now the football season is starting, you're glad that you got that off your checklist?
Well, that's tough.
He's too busy surfing.
He's too busy playing golf. That's what he's too busy doing.
Yeah, I'm a beach bum too. Oh gosh, the lifeguard races count. I really like it. I really like those.
Sure.
And they're so unique to our area. I mean, you get like the best of the best that competing for South Jersey championships, what have you. You got the big three races, as everybody calls them, the Dutch Hoffmans, the Margate Memorials, and the South Jerseys. And I really enjoy the other races too, like that, because they have the variety of women's events and get more like paddle boards and runs and that kind of stuff involved in it. So I always enjoy. I don't get to as many as I'd like to get to, but the fact that I got to some, that made my summer, to be honest with you.
There you go. Dave Weinberg took the question and he ran with it in the way only Dave Weinberg can. Give him a follow on Twitter at Dave Weinberg 19. Extra point columns over at 97.3ESPN.com. They joined us right here on the Elite Acura Hotline. Dave, always appreciate the conversation, and we'll talk next week.
Oh, thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. It's good talking to you again, Ryan.
Yep, you too, Dave. Thank you.
All right, take care, guys.
Visit Elite Acura during the summer, a performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, online at EliteAcura.com. He's Ryan. I'm Josh. We'll wrap up the show coming up on the other side. Filling in for Mike Gill on a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN, mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
A sports station that hits a home run every time.
The 1-1 hit in the air, left field. That one way back, on its way and out of here. Home run, left field, Trey Turner.
It's 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's home for the best Phillies sports talk.
Your palace awaits. Caesars Palace Online Casino is now live. Download today and register using code RADIOLAUNCH. New users get a $10 sign-up bonus, a 100% deposit match up to $1,000, and 2,500 reward credits after wagering $25. Must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or West Virginia. Minimum wagering within 7 days required to unlock bonuses. Full terms and wagering requirements at CaesarsPalaceOnline.com/promos. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In West Virginia, all games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly.
Dad, I don't feel good.
I'll grab the Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey.
Isn't DayQuil just for parents?
Actually, Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey is just for kids, specially designed to treat kids' most bothersome cold symptoms quickly with a honeylicious tasting flavor kids like.
You know what else kids like?
DayQuil Kids Honey first, then video games.
Deal.
Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey. The kids' honeylicious daytime coughing, congestion, stuffy head, stuffy nose medicine. Safe for ages 6+.
Hey, Josh Hennig here to tell you about how Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning has helped your favorite football team. Did you know that over 40 years ago, John Jenkins Sr. invented the heated seat that football players sit on today? Yes, the Jenkins family created a way for football players to weather the extreme cold. Now imagine what Jenkins could do for your home. Call Jenkins for plumbing, drain cleaning, and leak repairs, gas furnace, boiler, and hot water heater replacements. Call Jenkins today at 609-641-6262, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Staples has big savings on everything for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on tech for the classroom or your business with up to $250 off select computers. And save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Plus, right now at Staples, you can save even more with $50 off your print order of $150 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Print offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Tech offer ends 9/16. In-store only. See associate for details.
I can't wait for what's next. Even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, the Pixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com. or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hey, baseball fans, the BetParx app has you covered. Bet more than the score. Bet player performances, home runs, hits, strikeouts. Bet game combos like winning team and over-under on total runs. BetParx futures bet on MVP, Rookie of the Year, and more. All new users bet $10 and get $125 in sportsbook bonus if your first bet wins. BetParx.com has terms and conditions. New users and winning bets only. Sports bonus bet must be wagered once. See website for details. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambler problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Crank the AC because it's not just hot, it's sizzling hot. All summer long at Parx Casino and Sportsbook. Pennsylvania's #1 casino brings you more ways to make this your hottest summer ever. The slots are hot. Table games are hot. The restaurants are hot. The biggest and best sportsbook on the East Coast is hot. The entertainment is even hotter. Don't miss a minute of the action. Visit ParxCasino.com. Street Road exit off 95 in the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Parx Casino. This is how you win. This is how you win. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for more details. That's MattBlattKiaNJ.com.
It's got to be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
How about the Phils, baby? The fight-ins. Schwarbaum says, I got you, bro. Makes it 4-1. Trey Turner steps up the bat and says, sir, I'll have another. So just like that, the deficit gets cut in half, 4-2. The Phillies trail. Nick Castellanos up at the dish, looking to keep this inning alive. Bottom of the sixth inning, Phillies trail 4-2 against the San Francisco Giants, looking for the sweep. So Ryan Rothstein at Wise Rye alongside Josh Hennig. We have been filling in for Mike Gill. And final segment here, Josh. It's been a fun show, as always.
Update Wednesday, man.
Yeah. Another show in the books here. We still have a few minutes. We appreciate everyone who's been rocking with us and everyone who hit us up on the text board at 609-403-0973. So while we still have a couple of minutes, you issued a homework assignment. Let's get into that topic real quick. We'll have some fun with shows we're looking to binge/watch before football season approaches us right around the corner here. Josh, what do you got on the docket? You start, Professor.
Well, I want to see if I can finish and get caught up on Only Murders in the Building. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things.
So it's for the older people, it's with Steve Martin and Martin Short. And for those who don't know, Steve Martin and Martin Short are famous for doing numerous comedy movies together. You know, like Father and the Bride, Three Amigos, all those kind of movies. And so they kind of bring that shtick as like older men. It's a little bit of them making fun of themselves of being older men. And their co-star on the show is Selena Gomez. And the concept of the show is there was somebody murdered in their apartment building in New York.
Okay.
And they decide to start a podcast while investigating who murdered the person in the building.
Nice.
And it's hilarious. Like there's all kinds of random cameos.
So it's funny, and then there's also that crime aspect that everyone's obsessed with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to finish. Of the shows I did watch this summer, I watched Primo and Freebie. For those who don't know, that was made by the same guy who made The Office and Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
So it's basically a show about a kid in high school who was a single mom, but his father figure, quote unquote, is his mother's 6 brothers who are completely different people. And it's a Hispanic family, and the show is hilarious and it's heartwarming, and it's got a lot of like Malcolm in the Middle vibes to it, like 90s, sitcom, not sitcom, but like family comedy kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. I like it.
Then the other thing I want to see if I can fish. I don't know if I get around it. I got to see the show that you mentioned to me about Tyson Fury.
Yes.
But I do want to I want to see the Extraction movies back to back. The Chris Hemsworth movies where, because I watched Heart of Stone with Gal Gadot. That was fun. That was good. A little James Bondy, but it was still good.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, but Chris Hemsworth, for those who don't know, he plays basically a mercenary for hire who's like a former Marine special op, and like his expertise is like doing the jobs that nobody wants to do. So like the first movie's about like him, he saves a boy who was kidnapped by a rival cartel. And they're threatening to kill the boy if the father, who apparently is a jerk, doesn't pay up for like the hostage, the ransom. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Oh, and then the other thing I want to see really quick, I'm going to see when it comes out Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington.
Nice. Can't go wrong
because
with that.
Denzel's my favorite actor, and I think he's done a great job with Equalizer movies. And also, for those who don't know, he's reuniting with Dakota Fanning, who 20 years ago he was in a movie called Man on Fire, where he saves her from a cartel. That's why I thought of that. So.
Nice. There you go. It's a strong list, man. It's a strong list. So, few of the ones that I have on mine, The Bear.
On Hulu, yeah.
Yeah, that's on Hulu. It's with the actor from Shameless. What's his name? I forget his name. I probably should have made sure I had that. But the kid from Shameless, he really one of the executive producers, I believe, for The Bear on Hulu. And they just added Bob Odenkirk.
Oh my goodness.
To the cast for season 2 from Better Call Saul and obviously Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So that's on my list. Home with the Furies, Tyson Fury. Definitely want to see that. The Painkiller show on Netflix. It's about the opioid crisis.
Oh, wow. That's a little deep.
Yeah, but it looks really good. It looks really interesting. Some, a little bit of a thriller, a little bit of like a doc type of a style to it. So, yeah, I have some binging to do before we get to the month of September, Josh. It's going to be fun. But that's the show, man. Just like that. We're out of here.
Yeah, I'm off tomorrow. Mike Gill is back tomorrow, and I'll be back on Friday.
There we go. Just like that. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Mike Gill back in the saddle tomorrow, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And go Phils. Maybe the Fightins can get a win. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles close out the 2023 preseason tomorrow, hosting the Indianapolis Colts at the Link. Eagles Radio Network coverage begins at 7 p.m. with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action, starting at 8 p.m. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.